Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday show. Something's going on over here.
That was fancy.
Wow.
Something's going on over here. These guys haven't seen it yet, so
No, this is all brand new to us.
This is all brand new. First of all, shout outs to Rick the Hado for giving us the concept and everything like that. But I have put in a lot of work in the last couple of months to do a lot of cool things. And one of the things that Rick talked about was, a lot of people do end up watching the show on mobile. And so we wanted to do something that was a little more mobile friendly as well, but just a cleaner look overall. So shout outs to the Hado once again. So
Big ups to the homie Rick.
Yeah, but shout outs to you as well for executing on this. I'm looking at my screen as I'm talking. Like, this looks so cool. I love the layout on this, man. It's so cool.
We look like we belong in the year 2021 now.
Yeah.
We're not back in 2014 anymore. It's good. It's awesome. I love it.
And as much as people like the table format and stuff like that, it's neat. It's cool. The one thing that actually makes me kind of sad is the thing that makes me prefer it this way is that now David and Tubo don't have to throw up green screens all the time.
That was definitely a bit of work.
Yeah.
I won't lie, but I do think that this looks really cool. Good work to you.
Yeah.
I have not been around for a while, so I missed 3 Tuesday shows, which is, I believe, actually the most in a row I've ever missed in 10 years.
Well, remember, it was only 2. Because there wasn't a Tuesday show last week.
Yeah, but I haven't not done the Tuesday show in 3 consecutive weeks for 10 years.
Okay.
I really think that's the number. So that's pretty cool, I guess. It was a good streak. It was nice while it lasted. I've been traveling a lot. We moved into a new place. This is a brand new background, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's been a super busy last month and a half. And I'm really, really happy to be just settled into a new place, not traveling anywhere, getting back to doing the Tuesday show and the like.
Oh, that's cool.
We're glad to have you back for sure. Miles says hi.
Oh, Miles, hi.
All right, well, what's going on, Miles? That's my
What's up,
boy.
man? Yeah.
Here's what we have to talk about on the side of the screen, as you could see. We're going to be talking about stuff like, obviously, Guilty Gear Strive is out. We'll talk all about Strive. We'll spend quite a while on that. We will talk with L.I. Joe. That's right, Long Island Joe will be on the show in about half an hour or so to talk about Strive and other stuff as well. We're going to be doing viewer questions, of course, from 5-5 Matchup. We got some fun ones this week. There's other stuff with respect to a couple of the other games, E3 stuff to talk about, KOF, SamSho. There's some community stuff like about CEO and ECT and Vortex Gallery and so forth. And then we got a fun set of mailbag things. There's some tournament results even. We got a lot of stuff to talk about since it has been a couple of weeks, and there have been some big things that have happened since last time we did this.
Well, the biggest thing, obviously, is the fact that Guilty Gear Strive is out now, right? So, Guilty Gear Strive. Is it everything that we were hoping it would be?
Yes and no?
Okay. Well, here's maybe one problem is that I set up my PlayStation like earlier today.
Right. I mean, did you get it on?
Just like I said, I haven't been around.
Didn't you get it on PC? I mean, I would imagine.
I have it on both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have it on both. Yeah. And on PC, just before we were going live, I was like doing missions. I'm at the very, very early stage of things. I really haven't gotten a chance to put any time into it. Have you two played much of it?
Let me tell you. When I'm not playing Strive, I'm thinking about Strive. If I'm not thinking about Strive, I'm playing Strive, okay? Yeah, I've played quite a bit.
I actually think that that's the perfect way for you to put it, because it implies that while you're playing, you're not thinking, which is exactly how you play Strive.
Here we go. Already, we're gonna make fun of the Totsugeki Club. All right, listen. First and foremost, we can get into this later. But secondly, May is a thinking man's character, and you don't forget that. You don't forget that. Or woman's, or anywhere in between. It's a thinking human's character, for sure. Tempest is a genius. That's how Tempest took second place in that tournament, which I'm sure we'll end up talking about.
We will talk about that, definitely. Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, you have played it a lot. James, have you played much of it?
So I've played a lot of... I played a little bit of Ranked. I got to the 10th floor, and then outside of that was mostly me just trying to set things up, and then just a ton of training mode. Like, I have just every time I'm just sitting here, I'm like, training mode. Like, I've been losing sleep because I just keep trying to practice, Potemkin stuff all day, and I'm just like trying to come up with new things with Potemkin, and there's just so many fascinating, just like really dumb things you could do with the character. So I'm having such a blast labbing right now, and even messing with a few of the other characters, but only slightly. But mostly just been a lot of Potemkin labbing right now.
Okay.
I've been the opposite. I've been playing everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say. I've put in... All right, so I probably have put in a lot of lap time, but also a lot of playing everyone.
Okay, so in playing... Let's talk about the sort of overview first before we get to individual parts of the game. Sure. Your just sort of overall, top-down, fast review of Guilty Gear Strive.
It's an incredible, amazing fighting game, but an okay video game.
That's a good way to put it. Okay. I mean, for me, it is not your classic Guilty Gear, but it's still Guilty Gear. And all cries of worrying about the game not having any depth are wildly unfounded, in my opinion. So... yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
I definitely want to talk about that later too, but that might be more of a Joe subject, so I'll wait on that.
Hi.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can get to that as well. No big deal. My perspective so far is basically as somebody who's been watching. So, I haven't had that much time to watch even. I haven't had any time to play, but so the only experience I have really is, well, I played the beta, I guess, but I also have been watching. Like, I watched the tournament that Levin put on, and LEVO, I've been watching some of the other stuff that people just streaming. And it is fun to watch. I will definitely say that. And it's, in part, I think it's gonna get complicated, right? As we talked about in our discussion of the beta.
It's already starting to.
Right. But like, right off the bat, it's not so complicated to watch, right? It's gonna get like that, I'm sure. But as I was watching those events, the whole time I was like, well, I have like a small handle on what these characters do, and that was good enough to like watch and have fun and enjoy it, which is a good sign for sure for the game. So I enjoyed that a lot, and then my little perusal of the missions was pretty good actually, and I'm really excited to play. I was mentioning during our beta talk that I didn't feel that I was very excited for it. And then when we had Flux on like 20 minutes later, and Flux like convinced me to care about it again. And I feel like I do. I feel like I'm excited for it. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll talk about LEVO in just a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, I was so glad to have that actually show up and to play, because just to watch the higher level play and just kind of seeing the stuff that people are doing. And I think that, from a visual standpoint, I think the game is fantastic to watch. Like, it's one of the more audience-friendly games that I think has been around in a long time. And I know, I can tell that was one of their focuses when designing the game, actually considering people watching, because it is an esport. And I just think it's so kinetic. All the even the wall shattering, the counter, the combo meter, everything. It's just like, I think it worked. I think it actually worked visually, and I'm really happy with how the game is. It can be hyped, the slowdown on the counters and all those things like that. Like, it's good for viewership, I think, and it might be one of the best audience fighting games in a long time.
Well, it's certainly beautiful. Right, nobody disagrees with that. And like I said, I enjoyed watching it in those events, and I've enjoyed just watching people stream, hanging out, watching them, play ranked or whatever, be in training mode, that kind of stuff. It's been fun. It's been fun. So I think that's a really good sign for the future of the game. You want to get to more individual parts of it? Obviously, the graphics are great. I don't know if we'd even need to talk about that. It's beautiful. But when it comes to maybe the sort of the gameplay, I do think it's good to talk about this question of whether it's simple or not, or how you guys would characterize your views on the sort of game engine.
Depends on what you want to call simple.
Okay.
Not to call out James or Flo here, but James tweeted something which was a left-right fireball mix-up with Kai from Roll Cancel, or from Robin Cancel, sorry.
Right.
And James said something like along the lines of, I thought this game was going to be simple. And Ari replied, what's not simple about this?
Right.
So I really think like where you're coming from on simplicity matters. If you're mostly like a Street Fighter player or even like a KI player, and you see a fireball RC'd into a left-right mix-up, like that's different. That's not something that you necessarily have seen before. I mean, I guess there's Fulgore in KI. Maybe KI is not the best example. I saw KI players going nuts about that same mix-up. That's why I brought them up.
Okay.
Just to be flat out honest. But yeah, I guess it really depends on what your level of simplicity is, because I don't think the game is simple by any means. But also, I played Marvel 3 competitively for like 4 or 5 years and still commentated to this day. And there's nothing in Guilty Gear right now that is going to make me go, oh my god, that's so messed up, because I played Marvel. So I think it's just really, if you came from just Street Fighter and you see this stuff, you're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Right. But if you come from Marvel, it's, it just is what it is. So, but I don't think the game is simple at all. I think the game is going to evolve a ton, and we're already seeing this. And man, I hate saying this, but bro, it's so sick and creative. It's so open world. It's an open world fighting game. Like it really is though, man. The RC system is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you brought up that Kai mix-up, right? The reason why I said that is because Kai's never gotten a left-right mix-up on his meaty, heavy fireball before.
Oh, okay.
Outside of a very obvious Roman cancel, run, follow it from full screen away kind of thing. But off of the sweep, you almost always just used a meaty, right? You've always just thrown it as a meaty, and then you got the pressure afterwards. He's never really gotten the left-right mid-screen that comboed into a dust that went like into more combos after. Like, I get it. Like, I get it where Ari is coming from, because like you said, he's thinking about old Guilty Gears and he wants it to be just completely, batshit broken kind of mix-up kind of things. And that's not the purpose of the game. Like, we know that that's not what the game is supposed to be.
That's not the smell of the game.
That's not the smell of the game. And it's one of those things that people have to realize, you know what I mean? But, my point was that everybody was talking about the game like it was going to play like CVS2. Like, you can win with Sagat just crouch fiercing everybody to death.
No.
You know what I mean? No. And it's obviously not that. And, from the system mechanic, I think the RC drift and the fast cancel is like, I mean, I always thought Roman cancels were amazing as a mechanic already, just to allow you to express yourself and allow you to, do all sorts of crazy stuff. But I feel like the RC drift and the fast cancel, are like the amount that you're able to do and the amount that we haven't discovered yet, I think is pretty insane.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the juice is, for sure. I mean, in watching and in playing with the beta and minimally playing in training mode so far. Yeah, that's the fun stuff to me. I can imagine why people who are coming at this from being longtime Guilty Gear players are put off by other things. Like,
yeah.
That's something that is new that will, nobody can see the future, right? Well, we can all guess that there's going to be some complexity that comes from that, but like nobody really knows what that's going to be. Whereas, you can see that like things are not there that were there before, like more complex Gatlings and stuff like that that just aren't. So like you feel like you're losing stuff without it being clear necessarily that there is going to be new interesting stuff. But yeah, I think that new interesting stuff probably is going to be there. And I'm not somebody who comes at this from being a Guilty Gear player in the past, so I don't really feel like I have. I'm not let down in any way. My expectations weren't there. I didn't have expectations about what a Guilty Gear was going to be like. I've never taken the series seriously, not for 15 years or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have that view. So for me, it's more about like what can I find than what's lacking. Right. And I think there's going to be a lot there. I think we're going to find a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and you know, you were talking about this, and keep in mind that, you know, this is going to happen to a series like Guilty Gear. It's going to happen to Tekken if Harada ever decides to tweak the way the Tekken plays, like if he ever tries to do a system reboot of Tekken. But Guilty Gear has always been one of the strongest legacy games ever, in so much to the point that every time they find a bug, they just keep it in there. Like, they're just like, you know what? Okay, jump installs. Let's program jump installs to the new engine. Oh, Faust, you know, the FD cancels on his 2K so he can do instant overheads and stuff like that. Yeah, that wasn't intended, but let's just keep it because it's cool. You know, like, this game has had legacy more so than almost any other fighting game. They keep adding new systems, but for the most part, if you're a Faust player and you come in and you try to do FD cancels on your 2K, you're gonna be able to do it, right? It's still there. Right. Now it's all gone, and so there is going to be a big frustration for a lot of people, especially if, you know, that's, and you know, keep in mind, I'm a huge fan of Guilty Gear. I love everything about Guilty Gear, how it was before. But again, as a Street Fighter fan, someone who's used to having my games get completely upended, you know, repeatedly, I really like seeing Guilty Gear get upended in a kind of weird way. You know, I like seeing it change while still being Guilty Gear.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like David said, I'm actually really glad I don't have much of a grasp of what old Guilty Gear was, because I didn't have to relearn anything. I just came in with a fresh mind. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, I mean, you can't take that away from Guilty Gear players. You can't make them come in with a fresh mind. But I think if this game didn't have the title Guilty Gear and it was a new IP and people played it, everyone would be losing their shit about how cool it is, rather than, it's not Guilty Gear. Who cares? Shut up. Who cares if it's not Guilty Gear anymore? The game is so fun. It's so unique. Why are you complaining? It's just weird to me.
I don't know. I've seen that so many times. It's not a perspective that I share. I feel the same way as James does. I'm just used to my series changing substantially over the time. Not just with Street Fighter, but like Mortal Kombat has changed substantially each time, like stuff like that. So I'm cool with that. But I also see it every single time that people don't want to transition from one Street Fighter to the next, or one Mortal Kombat to the next, or one Guilty Gear to the next. I mean, I wasn't personally engaged, but I do recall that when Xrd came out, there was some
they had opinions,
antagonism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not my perspective, but like it just feels like so many people have that I'm not going to call it stupid. It just feels like it's a common perspective. And after all, like, keep playing Xrd, you know, keep playing whatever it is that you want to play that you feel like you're comfortable with. There's no reason to switch. So I feel positive about this game. If other people don't, that's fine, and I don't think that it's like a silly or bad opinion necessarily. It's all quite subjective. But I also hope that, you know, they might give this game another look in the future if it does continue to get more complex, whether by, you know, players figuring stuff out, or what by, as basically every fighting game does nowadays, releases relatively simple and then they add on new wildness. That every single game's going through that loop. This game will probably do that. I
mean, Strive is definitely going to do that, but I actually feel the opposite after playing it, you know, for a week now. I guess early release was a little bit over a week ago now.
Yeah.
I don't think they really held back very much. I think some of the characters are extremely wild. If you look at like Kino or Milia, or even like advanced Zato stuff, like a lot of people think he sucks, but he can set up fuzzies by himself without meter. Like he he's good. You know, like there's a lot of really wacky stuff in there that only fighting game veterans are gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know how to deal with this. Like new players are absolutely gonna get blown up. Whereas I didn't really feel that way like when Dragon Ball FighterZ or Street Fighter V launched. I thought the cast was all very basic and they all kind of just did the same thing in very slightly different ways. That's not the case at all with Guilty Gear Strive. Like, it's giving me life because now I'm seeing, you know, this guy, and they play completely differently. Yeah. Whereas, like, if I saw two, you know, Ryus before in Street Fighter V Season 1, I couldn't tell you who was who. Right. Like, it's just, like, the uniqueness that the game launched with is unheard of in recent fighting game launches, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about those.
I do still think that the more wildness is to come, just because.
Absolutely, it is.
Because characters like Bridget still are looming in the distance, and if they ever decide to put in Zappa or Testament, I mean, those are. So the thing is, you don't put them in the original game because they will make people quit.
Yeah. For sure.
You wait on them.
Well, let's talk about the characters. Let me know what you think about the characters that you guys have been playing, and then whether anybody strikes you as being particularly good or fun or boring or bad or whatever it may be.
Before we get into that, someone mentioned it in the chat. Please, nobody talk about any of the leaks, because just for other people. So no, we're not going to address the leaks. And please, nobody in the chat mentions. If we have any mods in the chat, if anybody does put up a leak, feel free to time them out.
Anyway, let's talk about characters.
Go ahead, James.
No,
let's hear.
I've been mostly playing Potemkin, and Potemkin is far more complex than I ever thought he was going to be, just because of the discovery of Kara Back Megafist, which is the craziest thing ever, because Back Megafist has so much better frame data. You can chain into it if you time it right, so you can combo it. And not only that, but when you do Kara Back Megafist, he still moves forward, which makes no sense to me, but it's there. And so, like, now I'm just trying to learn all these combos into kick forward Megafist. You can keep juggling afterwards, you know, in the corner and stuff. And, you know,
really,
yeah. And also, you know, it's safe on block. So if I do it mid-screen and you block it, you can't even punish me. And then I did the tweet that went viral is I did Kara Megafist, had Kai jab at me to punish me. I backdashed through it and then blue RC'd that while drifting forward, landed and pop bustered him. So, like,
okay, that sounds pretty sick.
That's the kind of stuff that you can do with this character, you know, and it's just like, why is this so much more complicated than I was hoping for? But there's like...
That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Point at something and go, how about this, Ari? Is this simple enough for you?
I mean, the thing about it is, when I played the beta, I was like, I'm kind of sad that the meter is kind of being a gatekeep for a lot of the creativity in the game. And the more that I've played the game, I'm so glad, because when someone has meter, you are not blocking. Like, that is just, when people have meter, there's fuzzies, there's mix-ups, there's just, like, the fast art. Like, I feel like the game is going to get to the point where as soon as you see a PRC, and if you have meter, you YRC right back. Like, meter for meter, because you just don't want to deal with the mix-up. Like, that's where I feel like the game is going to go at some point in time.
I've already been doing that, so you're probably not wrong.
There you go. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, YRC is great.
Outside of that, I want to learn Nagoriyuki. What's really cool is, you know, during the beta, obviously they really hurt the blood gain. But then, you know, I saw Sajam talk about Fame. Like, everybody else is playing Nagoriyuki, but Fame was playing Nagoriyuki. And he said, like, it just didn't even feel like the same kind of matchup as anybody else. So I need to go watch some of that footage as well. But again, like, I'm interested in so many characters. I want to play a bunch of them in this game. I want to try Faust. I want to try Giovanna, because they said she's actually interesting now. So, you know, like, I didn't like her in the betas, so I'm curious to see how she plays now. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited about a lot of the characters in this game.
Yeah. So far, I've played May, and May.
It's gonna
And
be
I've
May.
I've thrown so many Totsugekis. It has been fantastic, and I've made people rage quit, and I've made friends get pissed off, and it's great. It feels so good. It feels so good to throw dolphins at people. Like, I thought Charlotta was made for me, and then I played May, and I was just like, whoa, Arxes, get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. This is ridiculous. Yeah, she's fun. She's super fun. She's exactly what I want out of a character. Unless they, like, you know, nerf her into the ground, I don't see a reason why I'd ever switch from this main. I think I've already made my decision, which is like a cool and a bad thing, because I want to try more characters, but I'm just like, why would I practice Saul when I could practice May stuff?
Well, I feel like you sometimes have had, especially maybe I think of Street Fighter V, for example, kind of back and forth in terms of characters. You know, you haven't sort of settled down. In some games you do, but in some games you don't. And so it's good to see that you are, because that is going to mean that you're going to be better and more invested in it, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the last time
I think it makes sense for a Rash and Charlotta player to play.
And a Honda player, and a Honda.
Time I felt this way.
And Honda.
And a Blanca player.
And Blanca.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the last time I felt this way, like that I just gelled with a character automatically, was KI. And that KI was probably the last fighting game I took really seriously. And I did pretty well in that for the year and a half I played it competitively. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens this time. I'm definitely going to get worked by Guilty Gear vets, but new players coming in, I feel pretty confident against.
Well, we'll talk about LEVO in a second and Guilty Gear vets, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so much for them.
I'm going to be playing Axel. I'm an Axel player. I'm going to try out Nago. I think he looks cool too, because he might scratch my itch for, like, the weirdo.
Sure.
You know, I want to do weird stuff. And he has these big buttons and a command grab, and I feel like that might fit me as well, but I feel like it's going to be one of those two.
If you like weirdos, why not Faust? Faust is super weird and dope.
I just feel I don't have a great answer for you, to be honest.
All right.
It's something that I thought about in the past, but I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you. I don't feel drawn to Faust. It's the same kind of feeling as, like, when Street Fighter V came out, people were like, David, you like to play defensive grapplers who are ugly and weird. You're not playing Birdie, and I never have. I've never played Birdie for, like, the last 5 years. And
It's the same
I'm just not playing them. I don't know why. I don't have a great reason for it. But.
Dude, it's the same reason why I never played Laura. Like, I felt like in season 1, she was kind of like a character that was for me, and I just couldn't. I just have no interest in the character. But I mean, for Faust, I mean, I haven't seen him. I played him in Beta 1. I didn't think he was very good. I heard he's been buffed a lot. I don't feel like he has the same kind of zoning weapons that he did in the older Guilty Gears. Like, I don't feel like his standing slash reaches quite as far and stuff like that. But he might be someone to look into for sure. So,
who is good and who's not good?
All right.
You guys who have played it more than me.
Look, this right now it's pretty universal, right? Best 3 characters in the game right now are Sol, Ram, and May. Like, that's what everybody says.
Oh no, James, why? Who is first off, who is saying that? Secondly, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to defend May. I'm gonna let the tier list creators defend me over the next, like, 3 months. When May goes from, like, 3, 4, 5 to, like, 9, 10 in the roster, I don't want to say I told you so. I don't want to say I told you so. But, you know, I was only right about the lobby system and how they shouldn't have delayed the game. No way would I be right about this too.
And I don't think.
So who's the top 3 for you then?
Top 3 for me is actually 2 out of 3 with James. I just think Leo is up there. I think Leo is everything that May is, but way better. So I don't understand I mean, I do understand the May hate. May is a scrub killer character. That's her archetype. She's gonna throw dolphins at you, and people don't know how to deal with it. Are gonna cry about Totsugeki. That's what she is. That's what she's meant to be. And, like, those are the type of characters I like to play. Like, I like to play characters that piss people off. So I fully accept that. But I do think she's very overrated right now. And I'm not even like the slightest bit worried that Arxis is going to nerf her, because I think Arxis knew what they were doing when they made her. I don't want to say she like doesn't have a mix. Like, she does have a mix, but it is locked behind meter, and there's answers when you use meter for things like that. Like, as we were just discussing, you can YRC, you can burst, etc., etc. So, well, I do think she's good. I think she could win a major for sure. Absolutely, I think she's very strong. I mean, but I think she's a bit overrated.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like what a May player would say. But in any case,
you're not wrong.
Right under that is Leo, obviously, Giovanna. Like, those are probably top 5. Giovanna, I'm taking on faith. That's what I keep seeing from a lot of people. I haven't fought one yet, and but I mean, I know in beta 2, you guys. What's that?
Slugs did win a tournament with her.
Oh, okay. And I know, you know, David, you were saying you fought a really good Giovanna in beta 2 and everything like that, so she was really a lot better than beta 1. I haven't seen it, I haven't experienced it yet, so it's hard for me. I'm putting her at top 5 off of faith of what I've been hearing. And the weirdest one was that I heard during LEVO when Ringe and Vicious were commentating that they said they made the comment like, Pot isn't that good right now, like Potemkin's not that strong, and I was like, what? Like,
yeah, nobody actually knows what's good or bad right now. That's the real truth. Anybody who's telling you that they have any idea, myself and James and David included, that they actually know what the tier list is right now, they're just blowing smoke up your ass. Yep. Like, we have no idea. This game is gonna burst wide open.
No pun intended.
All right, so we only have a minute and a little bit left. What's bad? All right, the lobbies, they're still rough?
The lobbies, the PC version probably shouldn't have launched in the state that it is in. You basically can't create private lobbies on PC right now. They just don't work.
So that hasn't been fixed yet with the recent patch then, huh?
It has not been fixed. No, It only got fixed on PS4. So there's a lot less disconnections on PS4 and PS5 now. So that's nice. But the PC version, I think the reason they didn't have betas is because they knew how bad it was. I think that's the actual truth. That's why they didn't have early access. That's why they didn't have betas. They were trying to rush to get it done in time. But yeah, I mean, like the UI isn't fantastic. Like, I don't care about in-game. In-game stuff I've grown to actually like, but the menus and the user experience are poor.
I still hate the burst bar, to be honest. But yeah, that's what I'll just say about that UI. But I mean, in terms of the lobbies, I don't agree. I do think it's way better thanks to the fact that they delayed the lobby again, because having the stations, I think, is 10,000 times better than it was during beta 1. Like, the stations in the actual lobbies, I think, is super important. But the connections, the usability of it, the problem with it is they were not focused on what a TO has to do to be able to stream the game. And the player lobbies are completely, like, almost unfunctional. I had 2 people connected to my lobby, and I saw them in my lobby, and they couldn't see each other. And no matter what they did, they could not play against each other.
You just have to remake it, and it's terrible.
Dude, I remade it. We all rebooted our PS4s. We could not connect. We took it to the park. They couldn't connect.
You just help improve my point, man.
Yeah.
They should have launched as is and fixed it over time. They didn't do enough in the 3 months extra to make people happy. Now people are going, why did you delay this to not give us a complete experience? But we're on a tight schedule. We need to get Joe on here, so we should move on.
Okay. But yeah, they definitely need to fix the lobby. They definitely
they're awful. They're so bad.
Want to move on to Li Joe?
Yeah, but we got to take a break first before we bring on Joe. So we're going to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we'll have Li Joe, and he'll talk to us about Strive and everything like that. Be right back, guys. There we go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tuesday show. We have our special.
It's like, yep.
It's new
Welcome back,
layout.
Dave.
It's a new layout. I'm using OBS instead of XSplit. A lot of things I got to figure out to make sure I do this right. But we are back, and we are here with Mr. none other than, of course, Mr. L.I. Joe, a.k.a. I Love You Joe. How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, guys. I'm well. I'm honestly very, very happy to be around some good old-fashioned friends. So thank you guys so much for inviting me on. For real. Means a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming
Dude.
on. And I hit you up
man.
this morning, and I did not expect you to respond. I was like, Joe's going to be at work. He's going to be busy. By the time he responds, it'll be too late. I already had backup people lined up. Like, I was ready.
Oh,
You
absolutely
responded right
not.
away, man, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, of course. I love this. And you know what? I miss doing this stuff, man. So I'm so happy that like I get a chance to, as we were just talking before the show, like I'm like dying to FGC a little bit more. It's like I'm dying for it. So this helps a lot. This helps a lot.
Well, we wanted to bring you on because Guilty Gear Strive is new. It's a game that we know that you've been playing a lot.
Yeah.
Now that it's out, I watch you stream as well.
Yeah.
You've been putting a lot of time into it, so we
Yeah.
wanted to talk about your impressions of the game and get into the little nitty-gritty details. But yeah, let's start out with kind of like an overview of your thoughts on Strive so far.
All right, good. I mean, I think the game, I'll be very honest, before anything, I think the game is okay. I'm not blown away by it, but I think it's good. It's decent. But the one thing I will say is that I think it's a really good, and especially Arc games, like Arc System Work games, the first version is always like, what is this game? And then after a year or two, you get a patch, you get a new version of a game. It happens like that with everything. It happened with Sign and Exard. It happened with BlazBlue. It happens all the time.
I mean, even Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
after
Dragon
year
Ball.
one.
Even Dragon Ball. So I do think that I think the game is honestly in a really, it's like a very good foundation stage of a game, if that makes sense. Like I think they have a lot of stuff that they can build off of.
Yeah.
And I will say from playing the closed betas and the open betas and I spent a lot of time with those too. I do think the current state of the game is actually the best version of the game that we got. So I do think that they did a good job with releasing the best game that they could. I mean, we could talk about the lobby system and how it might not be the best right now, but I do think the actual game, the game itself, it's in a good foundation state that they have a lot to build off of and a lot of things to kind of tweak. And the one thing I will say is that they've really, for the most part, like they've listened to the community the best that they can.
Yeah.
It's not easy for everyone to jump up and down and say, I want Gatling combos, and then snap their fingers and there be Gatling combos. That's not really how development works, and balancing, like that's not what the game was designed around. So you really have to kind of understand what it's like to make a video game, and that's not really what it's like. They can't do those things like that, but there are certain things that they can do. Like there was a big complaint about anti-airs in the beta. It's like, everyone just keeps jumping on me, I can't stop it. So they kind of fixed that. Even regular 5Ps are good anti-airs now. 6Ps are good, 5Ps are really good. So they have done a really good job at least listening to the community, and that's the one thing that I think is the coolest thing ever, is that going back to the whole foundation thing, if they're going to continue to at least pay some attention to the community and the people that are putting all this time into the game and make changes based on some feedback, I think in like a year or two we're going to have a bombshell of a game in a good way, for real.
I mean,
but as of right now, like I said, I think the game is good, decent. I like it.
I mean, you remember, you and I, Joe, we talked about this before Street Fighter V came out. We were saying if Street Fighter V came out, it could be like the big...
Supposed to be the game.
Yeah, and then, the release was,
It was supposed to be the game.
Oh, no.
But I feel like Strive is kind of hitting that kind of area right now. I mean, we saw... one thing we didn't talk about is that outside of Dragon Ball, it now has the current highest concurrent players on Steam out of all fighting games, which I think is a really big deal.
Absolutely.
It's already shipped over 300,000 copies as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would imagine that's probably already being considered a success for ArcSys. So, good for them. That's cool.
Joe, talk to me about your background with the Guilty Gear series.
Okay, Guilty Gear. We're gonna go back. I bought Guilty Gear in the Massapequa Mall from Electronic Boutique.
Dang!
You're talking about Guilty Gear. You're not talking about XX.
No. I'm talking about PlayStation, a little tiny box game. And the reason why I bought it, because I've always been into like more of, I guess, like, you know, like heavy metal hardcore music. The game was advertised as like a heavy metal fighting game thing, and I was like, I need this game. It said it on the back of the disc, on the back of the case. It said something like heavy metal something or other music or something like that, and I was like, I need this game. I have to buy this game. But as far as a competitive level Guilty Gear, I guess I didn't really try to compete until probably like Slash-ish, the end of Slash and like early Accent Core. A lot of arcades, Chinatown didn't even think they had Reload, but they got Reload very, very, very late, and there really wasn't a lot of people playing Reload in Chinatown. But they did get AC, so when AC came out, we played a lot of AC in Chinatown. Again, and it was never really like super, super competitive in it. I mean, I entered some tournaments, but I never really like won anything crazy. But AC is probably one of, if you give me top 5 fighting games, AC is my top 5 fighting game.
Okay.
I love Accent Core. I think Accent Core is incredible. But I've always been a fan of the series. I think it is like easily one of my favorite fighting games. Again, one of my top 5 favorite fighting games. Like just between character designs and system, and I love the way the game sounds and things like that. It was very unique playing it too. Like playing a game like that back in the day. Like, yo, these characters are jumping around, and the way the air dashing was, and it was different for its time when it came out, and it just like constantly evolved. And now here we are now. But I'm a huge fan. Love Guilty Gear.
How do you feel that fits with your view of the game so far?
As
like, does that have a big impact on how you feel about Strive in like week 1?
Basically, we were just talking about how old school Guilty Gear players don't seem to enjoy it as much. Like how is that affected?
Yeah, you know what? Like I actually spoke about this the other day. I understand that concept. How people are like there's a big argument. I'm going to say the very, very sacred words that no one should ever say regarding Strive, and that's, it doesn't feel like Guilty Gear. You can't say that term without getting in trouble around these parts. So the it doesn't feel like Guilty Gear one thing is a very, very touchy subject. But I sort of understand it a little bit. It's kind of like when people play KOF, right? They're looking for a certain feeling when playing a KOF game. You're looking for those combos. You're looking for those short jumps and super jumps. You're looking for the inputs. You're looking for the command normals and the way the grabs work in that game. If they changed the KOF too much, would it feel like you were playing like? So would KOF players want to play new KOF if it wasn't giving them that same feeling that hey, this feels like a KOF game?
Oh.
So I do understand slightly how people could say like Strive doesn't feel like Guilty Gear, but I really don't think it's right to judge a game on day 4 or 5, however long it's actually been out. I don't know if it's fair to really judge the game, because now that I'm seeing tech, like now people are using Blue RC more, and Blue RC and like using the RC system. It's like Guilty Gear is there. It just, you have to go about the game a different way to get that feeling out of it. If that makes any sense. I'm sorry.
It makes perfect sense.
No. You make sense.
Said that's perfect. That sounds beautiful.
Well, what I want to ask you then to follow that up is, if this game wasn't called Guilty Gear, if it was a new IP, do you think you'd like it more? Do you think that you'd be able to accept it more?
That's the classic question. If Dragon Ball didn't say Dragon Ball on it, would anybody play it?
I mean, I wouldn't have. Real talk, I would not have played that game if it didn't have the Dragon Ball IP.
Joe asking the
I'm hitting you guys. You guys are getting hit with it.
Oh man.
All right, so let me think. Would people still play? I mean, I would probably play it only because, like, you know, dude, I love fighting games, man. Like, there's one of my most favorite things in the world is looking at the character select screen for the first time and getting to move the cursor around. Oh, it's such a good feeling. Love it. So I would do it no matter what. Would other people play it? Like, I'm not sure, honestly. But it would be hard to implement the systems that are in there right now and not call the game Guilty Gear. You know what I mean? Like,
it is Guilty Gear.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's pretty Guilty Gear-ish. Now that the game is developing in a certain way, it does feel more Guilty Gear. I remember when I first played it, I was like, this game's all right, I guess. It doesn't feel like Guilty Gear. But as I continue to play it, as the game developed, as you see more things, like, just scroll through Twitter, man. Look at all the tech that's coming out. I watch Japanese matches every day. I was just watching a Japanese match. I watch Japanese matches every day of Guilty Gear, and I'm like, of Strive, and you could just see the development of the game between the way the neutral's being played, the way people are spending their bar and things like that. So I do think Guilty Gear is in there. You just got to get it out. You got to dig it out a certain way. It's not as clear, you know.
I'm just gonna say this. When I died to Leo and when I died to Eno, it felt like I died to Leo and it felt like I died to Eno.
That's what happens, right? That's how AC was. You block especially plus R, you block a Eno note and you lost.
Yep. So who are you using in the game right now? Who is your main right now?
I unfortunately use Zato. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I heard you complaining about that character when I was watching you stream. Ooh.
I was like, oh my
and
God.
Ari was in the chat, Flo was in the chat, and he was very much not in agreement.
No, I actually do think he's good. I talk a lot of crap. I just do think he's good. It just takes a little bit more to get him good, you know? Like, the only thing that's slightly frustrating is, like, to the game in general, at least for me, like if you're playing a game where everyone is essentially dishing out the same damage, like why am I trying so hard when, you know what I mean? Like when a lot of the cast is dishing out a decent amount of damage, but there are also obviously ups and downs to using Zato as far as what he's able to do, what other characters can't do. So I get it. Like I understand it. I just don't like getting hit by soul for like 3 buttons and half my life is gone. Like,
Joe, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey, my friend, and that's why you play Zato.
No, you are right.
The journey is important.
It is extremely fun. I have tried Ram, but I will say this: pressing like a couple of buttons with Ram and throwing a sword feels incredible when you watch their life melt, as opposed to holding 13 buttons with Zato and be like, oh, I hit him. But no, it's you. You are right though. Like Zato, as I was just talking about, like the feeling of the game. When I play Guilty Gear, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to play that character because that to me is why I play the game. You know. So
right.
It's funny. I was thinking about today. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop talking bad about Zato and just play Zato and just stop talking crap and just play and be like, you know what? I'll make it work because I enjoy the character that much. So it doesn't really matter that much.
I'm super confused, guys. Hang on a second.
So James just ruined the whole stream. That's it for Ultra Chat.
Oh, wait, what the heck? Okay, OBS is doing weird things. OBS is doing very weird things to me here. And
I saw James Chen clicking stuff. I didn't see OBS clicking stuff.
So what other characters have you put time into, if any?
Honestly, I didn't. I messed with Ram a little bit. Ram is probably the one I played the most, other than Zato. I tried Soul just to see what it felt like to
gorilla your way around.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything bad. I played Soul just to feel what it was like to play Soul. What an incredible feeling that was. But I am, you know what's surprising? And I heard you were talking about this character before, David. I'm probably gonna learn Axel a little bit.
Nice, pretty cool.
I'm probably gonna learn Axel. I do think that the game, as is, if it stays the way it is, I feel like it will be. You might need 2 characters to play this game at a certain level.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
You feel like it's a very matchup dependent game.
I do.
Okay.
Now look, I'm not trying to jump to, again. I'm totally against jumping to conclusions for a game that's been out for a week. But just based on the time that I've had, it feels like to me it is like a 2-character game.
Makes sense.
What matchups so far like make you feel that way? And are you talking about Zato, or do you think that's like everybody's case?
I think in general, like when you look at the layout of, excuse me, maybe that's the wrong word. When you look at the composition of like some of the characters and like what it's like to go. For instance, I know Faust versus Axel is apparently a really terrible match.
For who?
I've heard for Faust.
Okay.
Nemo was talking about it. A couple other Faust players were like, "This is really obnoxious. Like, this is very obnoxious."
I mean, Axel's kind of polarizing because I think obviously Axel Potemkin is a hard match too, right?
Yeah, so, Axel Potemkin. I hear. I've only fought one. Again, I wish I played the game more. I fought like 2 Axels, and me as Zato, it felt horrible. I'm like, this is really, really tough. Like, this doesn't feel good at all. But again, like, the game is still early. Matchups have to develop. So again, I really hate jumping to conclusions and talking like this. I hate when people hear someone say something and they say, I heard L.I. Joe say X, Y, and Z.
Well,
Therefore, this is what the game is.
There's going to be an EH article really soon about L.I. Joe claiming that the Guilty Gear is a 2-character game, you know.
And then
probably.
It's going to have my face like this. It's going to say, if it wasn't Dragon Ball, would you play it? I do feel like the game might be a 2-character game if it stays as is. Again, I'm just going off the very, very small bit of knowledge that I know and what I see and what I hear from other players and things. But I do think 2 characters might be in order right now.
Interesting. What do you think about the characters in terms of strength, in terms of effectiveness? Like, who strikes you as being the best, and who strikes you as being the weakest so far?
Zato's the weakest. Everybody knows that, so we don't really have to.
Look at all these down players. Look at all these down players. Let's cut these guys off, dude.
We know that. So let's get that out of the way. Let's put him at the bottom. All right. So besides him being at the bottom, no, I do think. I think it's. I'm gonna go with the classic top 3, but the 4th spot is iffy for me. I do think Soul, Ram, and May are probably the best characters in the game. I firmly believe that, but. I do think the entire world has slept on Geo. I had to fight Flux for an entire 2 nights, and I was like, "This is nonsense." I was like, "This is really nonsense. Like, what is this?" When you play someone that like really knows that character, and she plays like it's almost like a different game, honestly. And I'm not sure if anyone has played Geo at like, I mean, again, Cole is easily the best Geo Flux. You guys might know him as Flux.
Of course, yeah.
Flux is easily the best Geo I've ever seen or played, like without a shadow of a doubt. But just the way she plays, like her hit confirms and things like that, like her buttons are like, it's almost like Third Strike Chun-ish. Kind of, sort of, where she has this really strong neutral game. Her standing S is incredible. Her 2S is incredible. She has, like, everything is 2 hits. So you see it hit, or 3 hits. You see it hit, you're like, oh, it hit. Now I get to press hard slash, and then I get to do a move or a super after. And she just has, like, her being plus and just completely pressing you. But again, this is very early in the game, but I do think people have slept on Geo, but that would be my top 3. After that, I guess I think Geo and Leo wow, cute. Geo Leo might be like a tied for 4th thing, or just breaking into the top 3. That would be my spiel on the characters. I don't have a lot of opinion about the rest of the cast, honestly. I haven't really seen or played anyone that was like, oh my god, like this. I don't know, like this Potemkin is crazy. I've seen a lot of crazy Potemkin stuff, but I will say those characters are certainly the ones that are shining a little bit more than others.
Yeah, I'm curious because I've heard so much about those characters that you mentioned, and then a couple of other characters here and there. I haven't heard almost anybody talking about. Maybe I don't know either way whether they're good or not. Chip, I haven't heard almost anything about. I haven't heard about Anji almost at all. Like, there's other characters.
Most people think Anji sucks. Most people think Chip is probably pretty good, like mid tier.
Yeah, I watched some. I was watching the Japanese matches, and Kazunoko has a couple of chips up. I think Go 1 was using chip recently. It looks extremely obnoxious.
I mean,
really obnoxious.
Samito chip is just like...
Samito chip is crazy.
Okay.
It does look very, very, very obnoxious. I do think Nagori Yuki could use a little bit of work, honestly. I know I shouldn't say that too loud, to be honest. But I do think he might struggle a little bit. Maybe they should do something with the blood gauge a little. But again, I haven't fought a lot. I hear Fame is crazy though.
Yeah,
I hear Fame's not going.
That's a consensus.
So again, and here's the thing again, guys. I hate talking like this because I don't want anyone to judge this word for law based on a week 1 game. But again, just going on the way I feel and what I think would be my thoughts.
Who sucks? Who actually sucks? Tell me.
Who sucks?
Who sucks?
Besides Zato.
Besides
right?
Zato,
You can't say Zato.
Good call, James. Thank you. I have to say it. I don't know, man. Like it's very hard to say. I really feel like most of the cast as is like fairly viable now. I know a lot of people say Faust isn't good. I hear that often. I hear Faust and Nago are probably the two that I hear the most, but I don't think Faust is bad. I don't think he's that bad at all. Again, I really think most of the cast is viable. I think the game, besides those top three, I feel like it does level off a little bit after those top three, including Zato. I'll be honest, including Zato, I feel like it does level off after those top three.
Now, do you feel like those top three? God, I'm not even gonna ask the question. Never mind. I'm just gonna.
James, we're all friends here. We're all friends.
No. Because I was about to say is like, do you feel like they should be nerfed? But we're on day like freaking 7. I don't want to talk about nerf. I don't want to talk about nerf. You know what I mean? Like that is pointless.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing across the board, not individual character nerf?
Okay.
Can we just tone down the damage a little bit?
Okay, here's a question for you.
Just a little bit.
Do you feel like, now obviously this is like 3 out of 5 games. Let's not talk about that. But what about 3 out of 5 rounds? Even in previous Guilty Gears and XX, there were a lot of tournaments in Japan that were run with 3 out of 5 rounds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would you think? Do you think that would work pretty well for the game? 3 out of 5 rounds.
3 out of 5 rounds, 2 out of 3 matches, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's a decent answer to it. I wouldn't be opposed to it, honestly. I don't know if I'd be, because the thing is that you lose your meter at the round. So the meter management is dependent on round only. The only thing you have to really manage is the way you handle your burst. Right. Yeah. Everything else would kind of be whatever. You have your meter, spend it, cash out, get your damage, do whatever you got to do. The only thing that bothers me about the damage, again, if the damage is going to be that high across the board, and I do feel like it's a little high. It's a little high for the amount of work you have to put in. And that's my gripe a little bit. Like, if you want to melt the life bar, at least earn melting a life bar. Like, don't hit me with a dust overhead and there goes half my health at the very start of the game. That stuff, I'm like, really? Come on, like, for real?
No, start dust on you? That's pretty sick.
No.
Yeah, dashed up dusting. Like, I'm dead.
Now, if they upped Zato's damage, would that just solve all of your problem?
If Zato, yeah, all right, make Drill be a low again. I want Drill gets to be a low. He gets 2 drills now.
Man.
Okay.
Well, so do you?
Sorry, no. I was just gonna say the game is just like, it's just extremely explosive. It's very, very, very explosive, and that's why I think a lot of the characters can be pretty good, because if you spend your meter right and you land that hit and you get the momentum, like the round can turn in a hit or two. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, oh, okay, go ahead.
No, you can go for it. You can go.
No, I was just saying, like, okay, now I forgot my question. Never mind. Go ahead, David. That was his plan all along, dude. He just shimmied me. He shimmied my question.
Got him.
Go ahead, David.
Stay free.
Got him. So, Joe, you are a talented player, right? You've made Evo top 8. You've done well in events in the past. Here's the problem with Li Joe. You're sick at a game for a while, and then you move on.
Oh, you're doing this.
And then you move on.
Classic. That's the classic, David.
I mean, you made it the classic, going on however many decades. I'm curious what you think about whether this is the kind of game that you see yourself continuing to actively play and grind in.
Do you know what's probably going to make me do it? And it's got to be the netcode. Like, if you tell me I can play matches that well with me and you can play right now, David, and it feels like we're almost around the block, like that alone is going to expand the life of the game for me for sure. Because like, I'm an old school player like you guys, man. Like, I was just talking before, like, I would give anything to sit at a head-to-head cabinet and touch an arcade stick and like press buttons. Like, I miss that feeling, and I think being able to play online like that, even though it's not really like the arcade, but instead of me playing the same couple of people with crappy netcode in my area, to be able to have the I guess the choice to play anybody in the country, maybe even the world with a decent connection, like that alone is going to make me probably play the game more than I've played other games for sure. I know that we're talking about Strive, but I do miss Street Fighter V Nash very, very much, and I did like him in this current update.
Yeah,
He's back.
I like it a lot. And one more thing, I think Street Fighter V is very good in its current state as well.
Yes.
Very good game right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can talk
game.
about Street Fighter V. Yeah, that's a game, when I said you made Evo Top 8, it was in Street Fighter V. That was a game that, you put a lot of time into, you didn't keep playing. I mean, for many of us, I think the trajectory was like, okay, new game, let's try it out, we're having fun. And then it's like, not as compelling as maybe some of us were hoping for. But over the last couple years, it has become a super good game. I think many people have the kind of arc that you have. Are you interested in coming back to it and playing it more seriously?
I just don't know if I can hang with these guys anymore, man. Like the way that people are so good in that game right now, it would take me so much time to be as good as I was. Probably the people that are good in that game now are way better than me than I was when I played the game hardcore. I think and the player pool is huge, and the player pool of good players is huge also. Like you cannot sleep on anybody in that game, and I think that's awesome. That's what we want as a community and as a scene, So like I'm all for it. It would just take me a lot of energy to focus on 5 and be able to compete again. But that's why now Strive is still kind of new, and even though Strive is a Guilty Gear, I don't know how much of the legacy Guilty Gear really matters in Strive, if that makes sense. The system is very, very. It's easy to. I hate to say cheesy terms like this, but it is like one of the easy to learn, hard to master things. You know what I mean? Like learning how to use the different RCs. It's not too complex, but I don't think the legacy of Guilty Gear helps a lot in Strive. Like anyone that's decent at fighting games, that has a fairly okay grasp at playing them and a very basic understanding of the mechanics, could probably do well and beat anybody if you're a Guilty Gear vet. You know what I mean? So that's why I think my chances in competing in Strive might be a little bit better than 5 right now.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about Street Fighter and how much it's improved since it came out. God, just imagine if ArcSys sticks with Guilty Gear in 5 years. Like, can you imagine what Strive's going to be like in 5 years? Oh man, especially with netcode that we're able to play every single day. Oh God, I'm so.
And that's what I was saying before. Like the groundwork of Strive, the foundation of that game, I think is very, very good. I think in 6 months to a year, we're going to have a game way better than we have right now for sure.
And if they're it's listening to the fans, when it comes to patching things can be dangerous. Rebuff Hammerfall, please. But I mean, honestly though, I mean the stuff that they have been listening to so far for Strive has been really on point.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, I feel like they've listened to the right things and changed the right things so far.
So before you get out of here. You did want to also talk about what's going on with ECT.
Yeah. So we're trying to put together a little something kind of like the way they do the sets things for Street Fighter, how Capcom Fighters does the sets for Street Fighter V, I was trying to potentially start something. I already put out a couple of feelers, but I was going to try and do a either weekly or bi-weekly event on my stream where it was just a couple of really high-profile Strive matches of things that the community wants to see, like, player versus player, this player versus that player, but also give an opportunity for up-and-coming players to be able to get some light also. And I think with the netcode being this good, we can even potentially get good matches between maybe America and Japan, or maybe have 2 really high-profile Japanese matches be broadcasted through the stream. So I did put out a couple of feelers. Something I am working on, I do feel like, as I said before we started, I do feel like I've been a little absent in the FGC for the past year and a half due to COVID and stuff. And I feel, I don't feel like myself not doing that. So I'm trying to find something that sparks me and invigorates me to do something for the community and start things up again. So this is something that I'm looking into for, obviously for the scene, and also so I can just get back in the FGC drive a little bit with either competing or running an event or something like that. So yeah, I am looking to get some fairly high profile Guilty Gear matches again, maybe weekly, bi-weekly. ECT is going to be a part of it. Again, I haven't put out a couple of feelers for other sponsors and stuff, but yeah, that's the plan so far for Strive. For Strive, I do got some drive for Strive. Sorry, James.
Well, you know,
James, you've ever said that one.
You can't have high profile matches without high profile commentators. So you know, hit your boy up anytime, and I'll be happy to come through.
Let's get it. Make it happen.
Easy peasy for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
what else is going on? I mean, just in general, as we have about a minute left, are you doing all right? What's life like?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, everything's been really cool, man. Honestly, I'm glad that we're starting to get over this thing. Like the world, at least over here, the world is starting to open up a little bit more. So that's always good. I've been fortunate enough to actually work through this entire time. So work did keep me a little bit busy. Besides that, again, now that things are starting to open up again and we're starting to lead to a somewhat normal, it's not totally normal, but at least it's going in that direction, a somewhat normal life. I just want to get back into stuff. I miss you guys to death. I miss playing. I miss being in the scene, and I really want to get myself back into it. But I just needed something to spark me, and that's Drive. So until Street Fighter 6 comes out.
I think you got a while for that one.
Be a bit.
All right, cool, dude. Well, plug yourself. Let people know where they can follow you and where they can watch you.
Thank you, guys. So Twitch and Twitter are probably the two most active social media platforms I use, and it's just this is LI Joe. That's it. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Watch the stream. A lot of Strive stuff. Unfortunately, I won't be around for the next couple of days. I won't be in the state, so I won't be streaming for the next couple of days. But after that, I'll be back on the grind probably on Monday. So.
And you know,
that's it.
I always wanted to ask everybody this question before they leave. Obviously, it's pretty clear where Li Joe comes from, but I love you, Joe. Where did that come from? Where did that name come from, and why is it gone?
You want the lore?
Why is it gone?
I'll give you the lore. I'll give you the lore real quick. So, who remembers Kylera? Anybody used to play on Kylera back in the early 2000s? Yes. So I was on AOL Instant Messenger talking to someone, and they were trying to teach me how to get on Kylera. So I was playing Kylera for, I want to say, King of Fighters, like 98 or 2000 or some crap like that. So I was trying to set up Kylera. Someone on AOL Instant Messenger messaged me, and then I was like, yo, what should my name be? And they just happened to type something about I love you, but they spelled it like I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U, and in Kylera I just typed lowercase I, L-O-V-E, and the letter U, and that was it. That was my Kylera name, and then that was my name on Xbox, because I was tearing up the leaderboards in Mortal Kombat Deception. You know I had to be online for Mortal Kombat Deception. So on Xbox, my name was I Love You. And then I thought it was funny because in tournaments, everyone would have to be like, I actually remember being at a Guilty Gear tournament. I think it was an AC tournament. And yeah, they were like, I love you. And I was like, that's me. That's me, guys. It's me. It's me. And then Li Joe came from, who knows Tenshi? Everybody remember Tenshi? Maybe yeah. Tenshi is an NYCC player. He coined me that name. That name came from him because when I started getting a little bit better at fighting games and people would start knowing who I was in Chinatown, they'd be like, Joe's coming. They'd be like, yeah, Joe who? And they'd be like, yeah, Joe, Joe from LI Joe. And David Tinchi coined that name for me. So those are my two names. Here they are.
It's like PR Balrog, right? Oh, it's that Puerto Rican Balrog.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Joe who? Joe, the guy from Long Island. Yeah, he's from LI. Yeah. Oh, LI Joe. Yeah, him.
Nice,
all right,
nice.
Here we go.
Shout outs to the LI boys as well. Shout outs to all those guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot for coming on.
All right, Joe.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, man.
You guys. Thank you so much for the invite. Appreciate you guys.
On me.
See you later, guys.
All right, let's get Joe to disconnect, and that means this should be back to normal. There you go. Yay. Okay.
We did it.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
All right.
Perfect.
Things are
It's
working.
cool for Joe to come on and hang out for a little while. He's
that was cool, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, well,
And you know what? I mean, one of the things he was talking about, the exhibitions and stuff like that, one of the things that I wanted to mention about Strive that I didn't get a chance to is, if the netcode is as good as we all are experiencing right now, can you imagine getting the exhibitions between people like in South America, in Africa, in the Middle East, with everybody else? This is going to be one of the biggest things, I think, for a lot of those countries that just don't have the chance to show their players off. Stuff like Fightcade has allowed a lot of the players from South America to really show their stuff. And so I feel like Strive is going to make headways for a lot of the FGC everywhere. Yeah.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're going to get to the 5-5 matchup section where we take viewer questions on FGC-related topics. And then how it's supposed to work is that we send out messages to people allowing them, our subscribers, to vote on the topics so that we end up doing the top 2 vote getters. Well, we did send it out to Patreon subscribers, but Twitch has actually made it so you can't email your Twitch subscribers anymore.
Yep.
I don't know why. Cool.
Thanks, Twitch.
Bummer. Yeah, so that's like a feature of the Tuesday show that is gonna have to change, I guess. So that's
making
weird.
changes around here.
We are indeed. Yeah. But we did get some votes from Patreon at least, so we do have some votes that we'll tell you what the breakdown is in a sec. Let me read these first. Number 1. We got 8 of them. Number 1, does first to 3 benefit multi-character players more than character loyalists since they have more opportunities to switch characters if they're down in a set? Does it depend on the game, or does it not matter? Number 2, for those who have been playing or looking into Guilty Gear, what do you think is a more valuable experience for newer players? Jumping straight online with a character of interest without prior knowledge to gain some sense of how the game or meta works, or doing the suggested tutorial and mission mode and putting in X time into labbing combos, etc. 3. Is it plausible to seed a tournament based off of online ranking? Random seeds don't appear to be favored, so what are other options you may prefer? 4. If your favorite playstyle, like grappler, zoner, etc., were removed from fighting game history, what would your backup playstyle be and why? 5. Why do you feel there isn't much emphasis on single-player stories in fighting games? Mortal Kombat clearly has a handle on it. What's up with the other devs? 6. Recently discovered there's a game called Before Your Eyes that functions solely off the blinks of the player's eyes. This got me thinking about controller evolution for FGC. We've got sticks, pads, hitbox, splitbox, and probably a few others I'm forgetting. What y'all think could be next?
Are we creating the eye box?
That would be so cool. 7. Should the FGC ban handshakes in tournaments out of health or other concerns? And number 8, what do you think are the implications of Strive not being cross-platform for the short-term future of online tournaments? Will having a fractured player base hurt attendance? Will one community be higher skilled? All right, here's the winner. It's number 2. For those who have been playing or looking into playing Guilty Gear, what do you think is a more valuable experience for newer players? Jumping straight online with a character of interest without prior knowledge to gain some sense of how the game or meta works, or doing the suggested tutorial mission mode and putting in X amount of time into labbing some combos, etc.
What do you think is a more valuable experience? That's what I'm typing in here. All right, let's get this going here.
What do you got?
It depends on the player and how you learn. I mean, there's no wrong way to go about it. Strive, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, is a game where if, like what Joe was saying, if you are a veteran fighting game player and you're good at picking up new games, you can probably play the computer for 10 minutes and learn a basic BMB and then hop online and start learning the actual game. So it's hard to say. If you're the type of person who needs to go into training mode, then do that. If you're like me and you just want to jump online and get your ass kicked and learn that way, then do that. But I don't think either way is more viable than the other.
I mean, honestly, it depends on your level, but obviously for the beginner players, I think it's really important to get a grasp of the game mechanics and then and then see, the hard thing is labbing, you don't know what to lab, right? Playing, you don't know what you're supposed to do. The hardest thing about the beginner players is that there is no good recommended way to do it. Honestly, the best way for a beginner player is to cycle between everything. You know, play online a lot. Just hit buttons, and you're going to find out you're going to get beat up by things. Go to the training mode, try that out. You see something weird somebody does. What the heck? He did this blue thing and he slid forward. Go to the missions, go to the tutorials, go back to playing online. Like, cycling between all three is important because that's also going to build the proper habit that at high levels you're going to need to be able to cycle back and forth between playing matches and labbing as well. Learning to lab is so important. You almost have to spend as much time learning how to lab in a fighting game as you do learning how to play the fighting game. That's what the training modes give us these days. And so I honestly think the right course for beginners is to have a good blend of both. Learn to keep cycling through the two options. I think that's the best way to do it.
So, Tupperware, your strategy really is to go online. Like, you're somebody who likes to just hop in there and start playing.
Yep.
Or if we weren't playing in stuck in online land, like you'd play against people if you had a roommate or whatever.
Right.
Like, you'd play.
Yeah.
And James, what are you doing now? Not some theoretical beginner, but like, how are you approaching it right now?
Right now, it's Potemkin, so I was able to use a lot of my old school strategies, just playing basic Potemkin early on. But then, now all I'm doing is labbing because I'm just trying to build up more weapons for me to win, basically, because, what I was doing ahead of time probably isn't going to be good enough. And so now all I'm doing is labbing right now. Like, that's like all I'm doing because I'm also a training mode lab monster too. I love training mode to a fault, and so I need to play more actual matches at this point.
For me, it really depends on the game and the character. So for Guilty Gear, in the betas, I didn't spend any time at all in training mode. I think I didn't turn it on, even though it was an option. I only went online and played. And that was in part because I knew I had limited time. Right. I just didn't have a lot of time. But the other reason was that I was playing Potemkin, and he feels like the most obvious character that I've used in a long time. You just know, there's just no mystery about him. There's going to be cool tech that will be found. Of course, it sounds like James finding some. But like the sort of basics of, can you like hop in and day one use this character? Absolutely. No learning required to do that. At least for me, as somebody who has had so much experience playing grapplers. So I didn't feel the need for that. For Axel, who I now want to learn, I do feel like I need to go into the missions and like see what he does. What do you do? You're a zoner, okay, I get it, but like what are your angles and buttons, and like what's a B&B look like for you? Sure. Stuff like that. So it's for me, it just depends on the character and the game. And so the way that I'm going to approach it now is spending a little bit of time in the missions and then in training mode and then hopping online. I agree with James that it's best to have kind of a mix, I would say. And Brock said, I guess you're saying the same thing too, right? Like you can't be entirely lopsided. You have to have tech, you have to have combos. You have to find things that you feel are difficult for you and then look for the solutions to them, and that's done in training mode. But yeah, for me at the beginning, it's probably more training and mission. And I know other people, we didn't mention this, but I know other people who play against arcade mode to figure it out. And that's not just people who want to end up playing arcade mode. That is I know competitive players who play against arcade mode just to get the ideas down a little bit more in like an absolute zero pressure scenario. Internet points on ranked or whatever, like that's not high pressure, but it's not zero pressure either. And arcade mode is zero pressure, so you can just try it out. Oh, what does this character do? I've never seen you before. What's even your thing? And you kind of figure out the very basics of stuff like that. That's another approach. But I think the best thing has to be that you have a mix of them going on.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things you can also do that I found useful for games that I wasn't familiar with like Dragon Ball. I did this in Dragon Ball actually, and it helped me a lot early on. Just turn the training mode to CPU, put the CPU onto a high difficulty, make sure you don't have meter set to infinite because oh my god, the computer goes nuts. But just do that because then you have a moving target. You'll learn what your BNBs are going to start off of, because a lot of people are like, let me learn my BNB off of jumping heavy punch. And it's like, how many times are you going to land jumping heavy punch in a fighting game, right? So you you get your first BNB off of crouching medium kick or whatever the standing slash kind of things. And, that's kind of important as well. And that's even less pressure than arcade mode. Obviously, you don't learn the flow of a match, burst management, etc. like that, but you can learn some little fundamentals, I think.
Let me tell you, James, the amount you land a jump heavy SMA player is quite a bit, okay?
That's right, yeah.
Quite a bit, I'm landing those.
Maybe not the best example of a character who
I
can't
mean, look,
do that.
I wanted to say this on commentary, but I'll say this here. It's not even a team game, and Mei is the best anchor character, okay? So, let's just...
Wow, okay. Nice work. Nice work.
Man, this game was a team game. Now you got me thinking about stuff.
Yeah, I know. Now he's like, oh, what if? All right, yeah. Anything else to say about this topic here?
Nope.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. What do we got?
The next one is a big old fat tie between three of them. So,
oh, jeez.
I don't know. What do you want to do about that?
We could let the chat vote on one.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Let's do that.
That's a good idea.
Just give them a minute or whatever.
So it's 3, 4, and 6, James, that are the tie.
3,
so
4, and 6, huh?
Correct.
3, 4, 6. All right. Create poll. Go ahead and guys, you can start voting on 3, 4, or 6.
Let us know which one you want. If you're not actively looking at the screen, those are number 3. Is it plausible to seed a tournament based off of online ranking? Random seeds don't appear to be favored, so what are other options you may prefer? Number 4. If your favorite playstyle, grappler, zoner, etc., were removed from fighting game history, what would your backup playstyle be and why? And number 6.
And
Recently discovered there's a game called Before Your Eyes that functions solely off the blinks of the player's eyes. This got me thinking about the controller evolution for FGC. We got 6 pads, hitbox, splitbox, and probably a few others I'm forgetting. What do y'all think could be next?
So type in !4, !3, or !6 to vote for the one that you want, just so you guys can also see the questions again. 3, is it plausible to seed a tournament based off of online ranking? 4, if your favorite playstyle was removed, and 6, Before Your Eyes, different functionality. So there you go. Here's the vote here.
It looks like it's pretty solidly in number 4's favor.
Yeah, you can probably just call
You're
it.
calling it, David? You're calling it?
It sounds like Tubbleware's calling it.
I think we're calling it. Let's do it. Number 4.
All right.
Number 4. If your favorite playstyle, grappler or zoner or whatever, were removed from fighting game history, what would your backup playstyle be and why? Well, for me, it's easy because those are the two. Those are my 2 playstyles. My one playstyle, as James puts it back on us, is grappler, and then the number 2 is zoner. But like these days, I kind of feel like it's almost more zoner and then grappler. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth right now, but it's definitely those 2. So if grappler were to be gone, I would be a zoner, and if zoners were gone, I would be a grappler. Easy question.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what people would consider the archetype of character I like. Like, what would you call Blanca, Honda, Charlotta, May?
Totsukeki.
Ignorant?
I mean,
ignorant,
yeah, they're
rash.
like degens. Yeah, rash. Like they're degenerate characters. Like anyways, if somehow all of a sudden we started labeling them as a genre or subtype or archetype of character, and I couldn't play those anymore, then I would definitely play zoners. Because I play those type of characters to piss people off. And what makes people more mad than zoning? So that's absolutely where I would have to go.
If you want to harvest those rage quits, absolutely, it's zoning. And
yeah,
especially
people get so
if you play Mortal Kombat and zoning in Mortal Kombat, because I feel like every single match I play in that game, win or lose, I'm pissing the other person off.
Pew 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 with my RoboCop.
I mean, for me, it's weird because people kind of know me as Rushdown, most likely because I played Cammy before. But, you know, it actually turned out that, you know, when I played Cammy and Super Turbo, I was playing a grappler. So grappler is definitely my number one archetype. If I had to give up on that, I mean, not to be boring, but I'd probably go Zoner as well because when I even in Vampire Savior, I like playing Anacharis just to drop coffins on people. I tried to learn Harlequin in Injustice because I wanted to zone people as well. You know, there's just a lot of the cool, even in God, what was it? It was Persona. I think I tried to learn one of the what are you doing, Jasmine? I tried to learn one of the characters that had like the gunshots just to like keep people out in the angles and stuff. And so I think
something or other. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Naoto, that's who it was. Yeah. So I just feel like in the end, I there is a part of me that really likes zoning as well. So I think I would probably learn zoner.
I already play Deadpool, so
right. Yeah. It's not like you haven't played zoners.
Yeah, I've done it.
I don't know, for James, I guess that's not what I picture, but yeah, maybe that is true. Even the way that you're playing Lucia now is a little bit more zoning heavy.
Yeah. I'm playing a lot more defensive with her and stuff. So I've never been good at fireball characters, but I've always kind of liked. There is that part of me that really enjoy. Like every time I would see zoners, I would be like, "That's sick! I want to be that guy who just like you jump into my limbs and stuff like that." Because
it's cool.
My favorite thing in Vampire Savior was dropping a coffin point blank that someone dashed into because they're trying to avoid the full screen coffin, and it's just like it feels so good, you know.
Yeah. I definitely understand that. I feel the same way.
But
all right, so we're all born.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, you know, I just like characters that are hitting buttons a lot. You know, like I just like to feel like I'm doing stuff. But even when I say that, I play Zangief in Hyper Fighting, and I'm not hitting buttons a lot with that character. So, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Look, we're all zoners here. It's okay.
Apparently,
we're all apparently, yeah. Well, luckily for Tupperware, they're not going to outlaw jerk characters. There's always going to be plenty of jerks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And luckily for me and James, I guess there's going to be grapplers always.
Yeah.
Dude, you nailed those eyebrow raises. Can you hit me with that again? Okay, all right. I didn't know you had that in you.
Can you not do that, David? Right. Do your.
No, I can do a killer job of it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. You've been doing that your whole life. Look at that, dude. See, that's the crazy one, is that you can control them back and forth. I can't do that at all. I don't.
Playing with our eyebrows.
Here's the story.
All in our 30s plus, and we're playing with our eyebrows.
I learned how to do that with both of my eyebrows because I thought it was so cool that Jim Carrey could do it with both of his eyebrows. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do it. One of them was natural. Now I don't remember which one it was since that was so long ago.
That's a good one. Right. That's a good. I like. It's good history. It's good history.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Let's get to some other news. The Electronic Entertainment Whatever Expo, maybe, I don't know.
Yep, that's E3.
Yeah, obviously. It happened online, of course. You know, there's no other way to do it right now. And it has been over these past few days. So there have been games announced here and there. It's been stuff. Nintendo had a presser earlier today. Capcom yesterday. Xbox.
Wait, Capcom announced things yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
They actually announced stuff?
Kinda. Well, okay. I mean, I'm curious if you guys have been paying much attention to it, and if so, what stands out to you?
Yeah, I watched way too much of it. I want to point out real quick though, before we dunk on E3 and the devs, that a lot of this stuff is being developed through COVID, guys. Like, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this year's E3 sucked," and like, yeah, you're not wrong. It wasn't that exciting, but like global pandemic, lots of games are made in Japan, and that shit is rough out there right now. Like, take it easy on them. But Nintendo, very obviously, like, won E3 to me.
Yeah.
They had real presentations. They announced a 15-year-old Metroid game and blew my mind. Like, I had a feeling that a 2D Metroid was coming. Like, it's been rumored for like the past 2 years that they're working on that side by side with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
However, I didn't think it was going to be Metroid 5, and I didn't think it was going to be what it looked so good. It looked so cool.
It looks.
Oh, it looks so cool. I'm very excited for that game.
100% with you. That's one of the things that stood out to me most over the past few days.
It was so cool.
Super cool looking. Kazuya in Smash.
Dude.
Yeah.
And
Look,
that was great. Can we talk about the announcement of that?
Look,
when
sure.
they.
I just want to say, I don't care what character they put into Smash, but the love and the inside joke and the depth of knowledge of the character's story and history that they do with every reveal is fantastic. Like, I mean, seriously.
I literally jumped out of my chair and yelled alone in my apartment when he launched Ganon off the cliff. I was like, oh my god. And then, they show him doing it with all these other characters, and then he tries to do it with Kirby, and Kirby just floats right back up. Like, that was so great.
Have you guys noticed that a lot of characters have died in, like, the Smash?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
But never Kirby. Never Kirby. Kirby always escapes.
Yep.
Kirby is the most powerful Nintendo character
I think that's canon. I think
Yeah,
he's
it has to be
the most powerful.
Well, I mean, because don't forget, Sakurai created Kirby, and he's the biggest Kirby fanboy ever, right? So, I
That's
mean,
fair too, yeah.
Yeah. No, you could definitely get the sense that that of course they have a lot of love for all the characters, and you're right that they show that in this character too. I really like the animations. I've heard some people say that they're not a big fan. He looks like he is animated like earlier Tekkens. So he's a little bit disjointed in some of the joints. It's a little choppy here and there. And if you didn't know like what Tekkens used to look like, then I think that might come off as like off-putting. Or even if you do know, maybe that's just not, you don't think it fits very well with the rest of the game or whatever it may be. But I personally really, really like how that looks. And it's such a cool like throwback to that. They were like showing his moves in the game. Like, it's so cool.
They gave him a 10-string.
A 10-string, yeah.
Yes, it's 10-string. Oh, man. But
Yeah, it looks cool.
God, I mean, just like I said, I mean, it just makes me think back to when they announced Terry, that whole SNK thing with the invite and everybody like missing the invite and Geese falling off the building. But, and then Kazuya just throwing everyone into volcanoes all day. I don't know. It's just, I love what Nintendo does to, to how much they appreciate the history of the characters, and God, it's so cool. I don't know. I'm just happy with that. So
Can we talk about, before we stop talking about Kazuya, can we talk about the Smash players that had no idea who this character was, which seems impossible to me if you play fighting, or if you play video games, like not even fighting games. If you play video games, that's wild that you don't know Kazuya to me. Also, the Smash community decided that Kazuya is a Showdown now, and that is just like, sure guys, yeah, you nailed it. He's a Showdown, all right.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's got an uppercut.
That's it.
He has a spinny kick move.
No.
He's
It's
wearing
on the
a
ground,
karate
not in the
gi.
air. He is wearing a karate gi. So, for those of you guys that don't know, the reason the Smash community is calling him a Shoto is because he doesn't have the back turn when he runs away, like all the other characters, like Ken and Ryu.
So does
their
that
backs don't. They back up like this, like a fighting game character.
But does that mean
rather than
Terry
turning and running the other way?
Do they call
That means Terry is also a Shoto.
Okay.
They call Sherry, all the fighting game characters to them are Shotos.
I love it. That is actually so great to know. I think that's hilarious, dude.
That's what I've picked up on Twitter today. If there's any Smashers out there, that let me know if I'm wrong. But from what I gathered on the Twitter drama with the Smashers, that's what they said. Anybody who operates like a fighting game character, a 2D fighting game character, is a Shoto.
All characters
that's such a fun misunderstanding, like in my mind, the storyline behind that of people just having no idea who any of these characters are at all before they were in Smash and then mistaking like their commonality as being that they're Shodos rather than their just established fighting game. Like there's just a lot of fun misunderstandings that led to that.
Shodos are characters that don't turn around, they back up, and they can do Mamma Mia's. I mean, is that kind of the idea here, basically?
Does Kazuya have a Mamma Mia? We'll find out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Nintendo, I mean, just to kind of rattle them off, the ones that I was interested in, like the entire list of games of E3 2021 that I am interested in were basically all announced or at least talked about today. With the Metroid game, I thought Mario Golf Super Rush looks sick.
Oh, it looks so good.
I want to play those battle modes. That looks so cool to me.
Yeah, it looks so good.
The Advance Wars reboot of old Advance Wars 1 and 2, but it's like upgraded graphics, updated graphics anyway.
No joke, I was just looking at the cost of buying Game Boy Advances because I wanted to play Advance Wars so bad, and then they announced that.
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah,
Super Monkey Ball.
I gotta tell you though, man, don't ever praise Nintendo on social media, because if that gets retweeted into the wrong area, dude, like, I have to mute that conversation on my timeline, seriously, like, because I was like, Nintendo won this E3. Everyone says that all the time, and people are like, what is it about winning and blah, blah, blah. Of course, you know, when they think their console wins, then they're like, oh, Sony won, you know. But, like, then everyone's like, no, Nintendo hasn't won anything, you know, this is stupid. I'm not interested in any of these Nintendo games. And, like, it's just like, Jesus, oh my God. I'm sorry I said the Switch is the best console of the last generation. But it is, facts. It is.
It's outselling everything, and it's on track to maybe reach the PlayStation 2 numbers last time I heard. So
Wow, okay.
It's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, the Switch
That
is...
Breath of the Wild 2 clip looking pretty good to me. I am stoked about that. And yeah, look, again. Whoa, what did you guys think about the Halo multiplayer discussion? What did you think about that one yesterday, huh?
I thought it was cool. I'm a big Halo fan. I thought it was cool.
That's true. You are, actually. Okay.
I thought it was really cool. I mean, I actually had forgotten that they had announced it was free to play. So when they did the whole like dissertation about why they're going free to play and how they're handling it, I was like, oh yeah, the multiplayer's free to play. That's so sick. Then the way they're handling it is really cool. I don't know if you guys have played many shooters recently, but they all do a thing called a battle pass, where you pay like $5 or $10 for like 2 or 3 months it lasts, and you try to level up, and you get items as you level up. So it just, you know, it makes you play the game more. But usually when those battle passes are done, they're gone forever. You don't get any, you can't get those items, blah blah blah. That's that. In Halo, they said they're going to do battle passes, but you can buy whatever battle pass you want and just do it. So if you are on season 11 and you want to go back and do season 3's battle pass, you can just do that. Like that's dope. That's really cool, and it's a good way to monetize a free. Like, this has got to be the biggest free to play game of all time, right? Like, it's got to be. I would imagine.
At launch.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, as far as like the cost of production, it's got to be the most expensive free to play game ever, I would imagine. So I hope they make money on it. I mean, it looks cool to me. It looks cool to me. The game looks really fun. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah. Did anything else stand out to you for this show?
I mean, for me...
No, not really.
Yeah, me neither.
For me, it's tough, because every year E3 rolls around, I always put out the tweet that I hate video games now. Like, literally, I mean, Tubo knows this as well, how much I've complained about how video games are stagnant and everything like that, and I just feel like creativity is completely out the window. Like, it's literally just, it's either AAA or it's indie, and it's just like, E3 just doesn't excite me. I don't care. Like, it's like people announce, I sound like that old man who's like, you know, you don't know movies unless you watch Gone with the Wind. But, like, I get it. I get why it feels that way. I just feel like all the innovation is gone right now in video games. Like, I see all these games, and they all just look like the same thing, and it's like nobody wants to take a risk anymore. Like, they do what works. They do what's popular. They do what the focus tests and stuff like that show, and it's just like I miss the days of SNES, of SNES, where AAA games cost as much as these other games that were allowed to be creative and try cool things. And I don't know, it's just like it sucks. It sucks being an old man and just not enjoying video games anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we were having that conversation online. I was like, if it wasn't for fighting games, I wouldn't even touch my PS4 anymore. I mean, I use my Xbox One to play Netflix and Disney Plus on my main TV. One time I was sitting up with Olaf, and he looked at me and was like, when's the last time you played a game on your Xbox One? And my response was, it can do that? Like, literally.
I mean, I think that says more about Microsoft games than your disposition on video games, because Xbox hasn't had that much interesting to play on it.
And again, I know that it's different because a lot of people who grew up in this era of games, who have enjoyed this era of games, loves what they're getting. But I don't know. Like I said, I know I'm being an old man on this one, that I just don't find a lot of things appealing anymore. We were even...
Did you...
That's fine.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. But did you watch the Nintendo presser? Because
no, the Nintendo
they had
one,
a lot of...
Yeah, the Nintendo one's the only thing that impressed me, because that's why I said I put out the tweet that Nintendo won again this year, because everything they put out was Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid, all that stuff was super hype for me, right?
Like you said, it's either AAA or indie.
Right.
And I think Nintendo's making a lot of stuff that's not AAA.
Yeah.
Mario Golf is not a AAA game. Mm-hmm. Advance Wars is not a AAA game. Like, I think Nintendo is... Mario Party is not going to be a AAA game, and they're making a new one. Right. So I think, like, what you're looking for is basically what Nintendo's trying to do right now. I think they're filling that niche.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about it from the standpoint that, David was saying, was there anything else that stood out to you? Like, nothing on the PS4, sure. Nothing on the Xbox stuff is going to interest me. Like, WarioWare interested me more than, like, most other things.
Yeah, it looks dope. 2-player WarioWare, I'm in there. It looks great.
And that's the thing. That's why I love the Switch. That's why I can unabashedly say it was the best console, because it also, I felt like, had all the best games, because it did have a lot of cool stuff in there. And I'm glad, Nintendo isn't only focused on just making crazy AAA titles all the time. So, but, I know a lot of people out there hate Nintendo, and for justifiable reasons and stuff. So it's just a weird time for me to be a video game fan. And, I say this completely not as if, like, dude, I'm totally right about this, but more just like I'm freaking old and I am a boomer on this whole entire thing.
Feelings are valid, James.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I'm absolutely
David,
a boomer.
Did you have anything to say about, like, we talked over you the whole time. Did you have any E3 thoughts?
I mean, I think you're right that it needs to be taken with the grain of salt that this was the COVID year. Well, COVID year and a half at this point.
Yeah.
And that just it has a big impact on development cycles for sure. Like I am aware of that with clients of my own, like businesses that I work with. Like it's a thing for sure. So for sure. I'm not upset about it or whatever. I have felt for a long time that E3 is losing its steam. I'm not alone in that, obviously. A lot of people have felt that way for a while at this point. But yeah, as far as the games themselves, I'm still gonna not own a PS5 or the latest Xbox for a while. Like, it's still gonna be a while for me. There's nothing that really drags me in. I do play other video games, but yeah, it's basically on either Switch or PC. Those are really the two that I play on. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that there really was no fighting game content outside of the Smash announcement.
There wasn't.
Brawlhalla had Ninja Turtles announced for it, which is super sick for it. That's great. But as far as like something out of Capcom, something out of NetherRealm, some people were hoping for, that didn't happen. And I don't think that's a surprise because I didn't really hear that like there was any credible rumors of that happening.
Yeah.
And Capcom already has like a pretty identified roadmap of what's coming in Street Fighter V. The only thing that they might have said is like Oro's coming soon. But as far as NRS, I know a lot of people want to hear more. And I was
surprised they didn't say anything. I was very surprised. I thought they were going to have something.
I would like to hear more for sure. I'm not going to be a big jerk dingus about it on Twitter and harass people constantly, as some folks out there do. But I'm curious. I want to know as well. Like, what's the plan? Is there going to be more MK? Is there going to be something else? Like, I also would like to know that. So I wasn't expecting it really at this E3,
Right.
but I'd like to know that stuff soon. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Recently, on the Synchronized show, we were going through all of the old KOF backgrounds. And, as we were going through it, there was a lot of people who were like, oh, God, this background was so good. Oh, this background's iconic. Oh, this is so... And it's funny because am I being a boomer on this again? But, like, I don't remember modern fighting game backgrounds as much. Like, I feel like the old school backgrounds, the artistry, the design, the things that they could actually achieve in, like, going above and beyond to create those 2D backgrounds, like, I don't feel like...
I think there's been a lot of good ones, man.
Yeah, I don't
think
agree
a lot
with
of good
that.
ones.
Yeah.
I think there are some games where they're not super interesting, but I think there are some that really stand out. All the Dragon Ball ones I think are fantastic. That has a bunch of fantastic backgrounds. MK11 has some really interesting ones. I think the Dragon Temple and stuff like that is the chamber, I should say, the grotto, whatever it's called.
KOF 12, 13, and 14
cool.
all had great
13,
backgrounds.
That's true. Yeah. I think there's been a bunch, to be honest.
Okay. Well, someone in the chat mentioned the greatest background ever, which is the Street Fighter 4 Volcano, right? So.
My favorite. Yeah.
Just delete that stage.
Shout out
Every
to
red
SF5.
stage in Street Fighter 4, delete it.
I love that SF5 just unabashedly has multiple stages that you just can't play on. That cracks me up.
So bad.
All right.
All right, let's move
Enough
on.
about this one. Yeah, let's move on.
All right. So let's
Let's talk a little bit about King of Fighters 15.
By the way,
Oh.
I just want to be proud about this, but look, we can have more than 10 topics. We can have as many topics as we want now. So it's
Nice
cool.
work.
I'm happy. Anyways, continue.
First of all, the release was delayed until 2022. I don't think we've talked about that yet because we didn't do the show last time.
Me and James actually talked about it right as it got announced.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was like when
It got announced when we were live, so we talked about it a little bit. But yeah,
Dang. All right. Well, the thing to talk about is that Luong was announced for KOF 15. She looks pretty cool. What do you guys think?
What a freaking waifu bait character. Holy crap. Like, I've been learning all this lore about KOF 15 and everything like that, so I was like, all right, so Luong is obviously waifu bait. What's her lore? And then I was told her lore, and she basically has none. She's there to be sexy, and I was like, wow.
all right.
Yeah.
She does look good. She's a step up, I would say, from most of the characters that they've shown in terms of how she looks and how she's animated.
Well, the interesting thing is the animations are all pretty similar to how she was in 14. Again, when we analyze it, like, I will go back and forth between two videos showing the same move, and it's like the same camera angle, it's the same animation. But again, just shows you how much lighting makes a huge difference. I mean, even when KOF, I talk about this a lot, but when KOF 14 came out, and it looked like crap in its first patch version, people took Angel and just took her model and ported it into Street Fighter V directly because, they have that ability to do that. And she looked fantastic in Street Fighter V because they just knew what they were doing with lighting. And, like, it's so much... Like, people aren't aware, like, MVCI has the same problem, right? The models in MVCI are actually better than they were in MVC3. Can you tell? No, because the lighting is garbage in MVCI, it's really interesting that you see a lot of these characters and you're like, God, they look so much better. The animation is so much better. And it's weird that the animation's like the exact same thing.
Well, I thought she looked nicer than most of the rest of the cast. That's what I would say.
Yeah, she definitely did. So, okay.
All right, let's move on to the next one. A little bit about SamSho here. So Tokisada Amakusa is released, and I'm curious what you guys think. There was also a patch. I don't know if you all looked at that.
I haven't had a chance to mess with Amakusa yet, so I actually don't know much about him. I've seen the trailer, and he looks really sick, but again, it's the whole thing with Samurai Showdown online, etc., etc. It's just hard for me to just like.
What did he look like on the video? Like,
Wait, what are you guys talking about? Like 5 special? What are you talking about?
Samurai Showdown.
They made a new Samurai Showdown game?
Oh God, here we go. Okay.
There we go.
You're-
I feel like
you're
this is
pulling
my
my
line.
Right.
You're pulling. I can't. They didn't make that game. You're messing with me. I never see anyone playing it online.
Ah,
Oh man. Yeah.
dang.
That's fair,
It's rough.
dude. It's
Rough.
fair.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Fix your game, SNK. I would love to talk about it and praise it and play the game again, but I refuse. I won't. I can't.
Right.
I don't wanna see your trailers because all you're doing is grifting at this point. It is terrible.
It's crazy to me
You
that
you have the strongest position on a game that you like of anybody I know. Like
Yeah.
you're anti. It's not that you're like this game's terrible. It's like I
I
really
love the
like
game.
this game. Yeah, but
I want to be able to play it, man. Like, I want to play the game, and I don't want to
Yeah.
jump through hoops to do it. I shouldn't have to jump through hoops to play a game that came out in 2019. I shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm just glad. I mean, it's still. I mean, it's. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'm just glad that it's out on Steam now. That'll make it a little bit easier for me because the Epic Game Store sucks. But I've also heard this still has some online DRM stuff. So a lot of the games on Steam, you could play Steam in offline mode and it works fine. But I heard Samurai Showdown actually still needs to be online to be played, so you can't even switch it to offline mode to be able to play it. So that sounds. I mean, like someone in the chat can confirm that for me. That's what I was just told by. They do say that you need to be online to get past the title screen. You can be offline after that, but that means you can't switch Steam to offline mode. Because that restarts Steam, right? So you can't. Ugh.
Well,
Yeah. All right, next
also, there's
topic.
no
Let's talk.
crossplay between Epic Game Store and Steam.
By the way, Samurai Showdown is on discount on Steam right now. You should totally pick it up right now. It's like $30 for the first 2 seasons and like $60 to get all 3 seasons right now. I heard some regions it's $30 for everything, but right now it's like $63 I think for everything from what I saw. But also there's a BlazBlue collection on Steam that's available that goes from Calamity Trigger all the way to Central Fiction. I just spent $13.46 to get all 4 games.
wow.
I may never even turn them on, but for me, in terms of just being a historian and having access to those games for $13.46 is amazing. You do have to spend another $1.59 to get Jubei into Central Fiction. So now it's like $15.60 or whatever, but like for $15 to get all 4 games, I think that's important. And don't want to go into this path, but maybe if you buy it, they'll be like, oh, people are still playing it, let's put rollback in the game. But I don't. Yeah, anyways.
Dude, that'd be dope for BlazBlue players.
It would be. That'd be sick.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, $13.50
Cool.
for
That's
all
awesome.
4 games, I think is really cool.
It's a good deal.
Totally is.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about this CEO situation.
Okay.
CEO was announced for December 3rd through 5th of this year in person. We talked about this a few weeks ago, that it was announced. And, well, now registration has opened up. So here are the games. Guilty Gear Strive, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Dragon Ball Fighters, Skullgirls Second Encore, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So it's a good list, and I'm happy that some of those games are like fan favorites that have stuck around or are having resurgences, like Marvel. That's really, really cool. Well, here's what happened. So it was opened up for registration. Of course, the entrants and spectators were capped due to ongoing COVID concerns. Like, things are better, but it's not perfect, obviously. Over 1,000 players registered in under 15 minutes, and everything was sold out within that day. It sold out right away, just within a handful of hours. Now, Jabali has said that they're hoping to increase the player caps, so keep an eye on that if you're somebody who
They
wants
are. That's been announced. I don't
Did
know
they
if
actually
have
announce
that
they're
in the
going
news.
to? Okay.
I believe it's June. Let me see. I think it was a Sunday. I think it's June 27th. Yeah, it's a Sunday at noon Eastern time, I believe.
Okay.
They are reopening, so that's going to be a cluster. So if you guys want to go to CEO, you have until the 27th to decide and hope that you get through. Dude, it's going to be like trying to get sneakers.
It is.
Like,
It's gonna be
bad.
tough. Yeah. But I mean, it's more than just being about CEO. It's also about tournaments in general. Like, what do you think that this says about? Well, maybe let me put the question to you. Do you think that this is about CEO, or is this about tournaments in general, or how do you view this kind of big result?
It's both.
Okay.
I imagine that Big E will see pretty big attendance for his summer jam, and I think he's running another one as well before CEO. I'd imagine that has big attendance as well. People are thirsty to go back to normal, and for fighting game players, going back to normal means going back to events.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Jabali was expecting or anything like that, but I feel like he should have been expecting his event to sell out immediately. Like that's if I'm Jabali, I'm like, obviously people love my tournament. Obviously it's considered one of the big three now. Like people are gonna come, but just knowing how excited people are to get back to events, I would have expected it to sell out within a day. So
you know what the craziest thing was? It was maybe a month ago, because it was like, it might have been the last time David was here. We got asked the question, would we feel comfortable going back to events? And I know both Tubo and I were saying, yeah, if CEO's in December, I still don't know if I would want to go. And then it got announced, and I was like, I kind of want to go. Like I did not sign up for commentary at first because I was like, there's no way I can make it. I probably won't travel, etc., etc. And then I applied for commentary anyway because I was just like, I kind of want to go. I was surprised at how much I wanted to go back. You know what I mean? Like I was surprised at how badly I was like, wait, I can see these people at the event. I can go. Oh my god! I hugged Jeremy at the CPT event. I saw David recently. I gave him a hug. Like I saw my brother. I hugged him, and it just felt really good to hug people again. It was just
how that worked, James.
Oh gosh, and so I just want to go to CEO and see all my friends and give everybody the biggest hugs again, I want to see Yipes and Tasty Steve and all these guys and just L.I. Joe and all these guys and give them hugs, man. I mean, seriously, dude, it's just it's crazy.
Well, I'm torn, and the reason I didn't, because like I said, I expected CEO to sell out fast.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I haven't registered yet is the Delta variant overseas is kind of ravaging even fully vaccinated people, 2-dose vaccinations. There's been 14 deaths, I think, in the UK or something like that for people that have been fully vaccinated, which
Jesus.
We were told, hey, don't worry about these variants, the vaccination will take care of it. And now I've seen news that it's not a great thing for the state of the pandemic. The Delta variant is causing problems, which I don't know, man. I'm torn. I want to go and compete. I don't want to just commentate. I want to go and compete.
Right.
And
right.
I do miss everyone and all that, but December is a long time from now, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not confident that this stuff is over. I hope it is, but yeah, I'm just not sure yet. It's rough out there, man. But I do want to go, and honestly, I'll probably be one of the people waiting in line trying to register on the 27th. But
yeah,
but it's not because of my better judgment. My better judgment tells me to stay the fuck home. But my heart wants me to go and see everyone and play and compete again and commentate.
And I can't, everybody knows my heart is stronger than my brain, so that's why it's hard for me to do that. So yeah.
My understanding is that the vaccines are still really effective against the variants, but that they have different. Is it 99, or is it 100% of people who do not die, or is it like 99 point something percent? Like
Right.
it's still very, very effective, is my understanding.
Yeah. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that don't get vaccinated and it's not effective because of
No,
health.
you're saying the opposite, obviously, that
Yeah.
everybody should be vaccinated, but there's still more to
sure.
worry about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously, everybody should be getting vaccinated. Please do. But anyway, my understanding is that it's effective. Anyway, I did not register, but not because of concerns like that. I was just in Las Vegas last weekend. Let me tell you that. Like, I was walking around in Caesar's Palace and everything else, and yes, with a mask, and I'm fully vaccinated, and I was hanging out with people who were doing the same. But I'm sure there's morons in there who were not.
Right, of course.
So, I mean, my understanding is that the science says that I'm pretty safe in those conditions regardless, and so I'm going back to doing those things. As far as CEO, I just feel like it's hard for me to plan in the future right now, just because things are kind of in flux for me personally. I'm moving. I'm looking for new stuff. Like I'm just not super sure that I'll be able to bet on like having a free weekend at some point. But other than that, I don't have any objections to going. I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah, like I said,
Right.
It's just crazy to me because the temptation just to see all my friends again is huge, and that I didn't realize how strong of a driving force that was going to be. Like I thought I would just be able to logically, calmly say, "No, I'm going to be safe," and then I saw.
I'd like to point out that when James mentioned everyone he'd want to give a hug, I wasn't one of them.
No.
Well,
It was Tasty Steve and Yipes, and
you said you were.
No
you
Tobo.
said you hadn't signed up yet. That's why.
I had him, but
I'm just
I
saying.
get a hug.
I'm just saying that.
Cause problems.
Look,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Look, I don't need to go to CEO to give you a hug because rumor has it that you're planning to come and visit us in SoCal at some point in time, right? So
I am.
I will be
yeah.
hugging you before that, Tubo.
Hey.
Probably. That's actually pretty accurate. But I want to make
See?
sure that I come, so I'm there on a Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
So we can do it
for sure,
in-person show for once. That would
for
be dope.
sure. I think that would be
cool.
awesome. So there you go. Oh,
right,
I'm saving my biggest hug for Eris, dude, because that man hates the hugs, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know, the one time I did try to give Eris a hug, he looked at me and was like, "All right, for you, I'll give a pass." So, I just
I
want
gave him a hug on Evo Top 8
Yep.
commentary in front of an entire arena.
and I remember his reactions too. So,
Yeah, he didn't love it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's just briefly talk about ECT, East Coast Throwdown. They are running free online events, and they're doing it pretty regularly. So they're going to be doing 30 online tournament events for Mortal Kombat, Guilty Gear Strive, Street Fighter V, and Tekken 7. Like I said, free to entry, and also $500 prize pot. Top 3 all get paid. So check that out. That's $15,000 in total that they're going to be putting into this. The first event, MK11, is, I don't know if it's done yet, but it was today. It is today.
Oh, cool.
So it's stuff that's already going on, and it will be going on. I'll have a link to where you can find more information in the YouTube, but I'll put it in the chat as well right now on Twitch.
Thanks.
There you go.
There it is.
Dates and everything. This is going through September.
Nice.
It's gonna be a while. Yeah, it's super cool. And then you guys, we're gonna talk about the Co-op Cup coming back, July 32nd. Wow.
July
Wow,
32nd? Wow.
We are breaking the space-time continuum to bring you another day in the year just for Co-op Cup.
And it's not
That's how
even, it
serious
wasn't even the 32nd. It was the 32nd is what it was. So,
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay.
That's just the 30-second Guilty Gear game. No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Co-op Cup, so again, they're not doing an actual tournament because they know that, obviously they're still not doing well with the virus at this point in time. And so what they're doing is a bunch of first to 10 exhibitions. Matson just announced this, and Co-op Cup is always everybody's favorite event. So I think that this is really, really cool, and I'm sure it'll be a great watch again, as always.
Yeah, for sure. Even if you're a grumpy old guy like me that doesn't really like Third Strike, it's still amazing to watch Co-op Cup.
You know,
those players are just so good. They're so good.
Someone actually said to me, they're like, blah, 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 but it's because James hates Third Strike and da-da-da. And I was like, man, you know what? I actually don't really hate Third Strike. Like, I just keep thinking about that. It was like, I still blame Kai, dude, because he was just like, Third Strike is the perfect fighting game ever. Like, you see how stupid Street Fighter 4 is? If you let go of block, you can keep blocking in true block strings. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Third Strike is so much better. I was like, every fighting game does this. And he was like, doesn't matter. Third Strike is the best. Everything else sucks. And I was like,
Kai loved Street Fighter 4. Don't ever let him fool you. That dude played so much Street Fighter 4. He loved El Fuerte. Don't
dude, I know, right? And that was my biggest thing.
That game.
Like, even to this day, like, I used to hate parries, but now I actually really, really like what parries put in for games. Like, I may not like it in terms of strategy or mechanic wise, but in terms of playability and what it brings to the player themselves, it's just like, it's like one of the most perfect mechanics like ever created for a fighting game, you know? And so, like, I used to hunt Third Strike footage back in the day when it was only on real media and like on DVDs and stuff like that. Like, I did was hunt Third Strike footage because it's like one of the most fun games to watch. It like clearly is one of the most fun games to watch, and so it's like, sure. It's like I'm sad that my reputation is that I hate it. I did it to myself. It's fine. I will sleep in my bed because I made it, but I really don't dislike it very like I really don't hate the game at all. So
oh man, I have gotten hiccups and coughs at the same time.
That's the worst, dude.
I hate it. It's tough. All right, let me try to talk through it. Oh no, it failed immediately. All right, AnimEvo becomes Vortex Gallery. They are.
You're also turning very red too, as well.
Well, I'm coughing and hiccuping constantly. Yeah, I mean, what do you want from me? 956 Productions is the crew. That's the company making it. I'm just gonna unabashedly continue like nothing happened. And they are doing it big. They're running 26 games and 46 tournaments around the world in September.
Tubo, we're not saying anything for the rest of the show. We're just going to let David handle everything.
Which games are these? Well, like I said, 26 games, so this is going to take a long time to read. Let's do it. BBCF, BTAG, Uniclear, Fantasy Strike, Fexel, FOA, Mahjong Soul, EFZ, Kianta. Obviously, these are Ultrafight.Kianta. These are the shorthands. Soku, Umineku. I couldn't even get that one out correctly. Gundam, Windjammers, Puyo Puyo Champions, Punch Planet.
That is what it's called from now on. Punch Planet.
Encounter, Waku 7, VF5 US, Dankuga. And there you go. That was all of them.
Well done. You almost got through without hiccuping. You got about halfway through. Let's get
Nailed it.
That's cool. I mean, they're obviously rebranding because they just don't want to be. I mean, obviously, it's bad to be associated with what happened with EVO last year, but I also think it's just a smart move overall to just create your own brand as your own thing, not tied to something else. Just like, you know, it would be really cool if we weren't called esports, but you know what? It's too late for that. So.
Too late now.
Boy. Yeah. All right, what do we got here? Tournament results. Oh yeah, some big stuff. So, the Mortal Kombat Pro competition has been going on for 6 months, and now it's over, and the results are finalized. The way that this was run was that each region had its own prize pool, and each region was $20,000. So that came out as either $10,000 per like sub region, or $5,000 per sub-region, depending on how many sub-regions were in each region.
Sure.
Here's who won. In the Middle East, Tekken Master won he played a bunch of different characters. One of them was Cetrion. In Oceania, that was Waz. who
Okay.
played also several different characters, but Jade was a big one. EU East, Mr. Ramirez with Sindel. EU West, Video Games Yo with Johnny, and also Shao Kahn is who he ended up closing it out with. Oh man, Mexico was won by Illuminati, Kung Lao. LatAm North, Dash with Terminator. LatAm
right.
South, Hellraiser with Sub-Zero. Brazil, Conqueror with Sub-Zero. North America West, Rewind, who played several characters over the months, but basically played Kano to win it all. And then NA East, Combat won it. He played Johnny, Gearus, Joker, and Baraka.
Jesus. No, wait. Did Sonic Fox ever get into it, or did they never qualify?
No, they didn't qualify. They just didn't play it.
Right.
enough.
Because you remember you were saying they weren't playing, so they weren't getting a lot of points and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh boy, it's a tough one. Look, honestly, I'm gonna have to go get some water, guys.
Go get
You
some
can
water,
continue.
All
I'm
right.
doing my best out here, but you guys.
Jeez. All right, here, let me grab the notes over here. Make sure I have this. CPT EU West took place a couple of weekends ago. This one, and again, this is interesting because they've split. Oh wow, he just disconnected completely, or?
Turned off his camera.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, he just turned off his camera. That's a thing you can do on Discord.
Right, but the thing about it is, it reformatted. That's weird. It threw my window in there now because that's my Discord icon right there. So,
Well, hopefully when he comes back, it is.
yeah, I
switches
know,
back.
right? But basically, the way it works is that EU West is a different region than, for example, like where France and UK is going to be. So that's why there's no Luffy, no Problem X in this tournament. But this one last weekend was won by Takamura over Momi. So we had prevented another Kami from qualifying into the event, but Takamura is basically a player that's on another level. But shout outs honestly to third place Ryan Hart. Again, one of these things that I've always said, man, like these old school players, they can definitely keep up, if they had the reason to. And Ryan Hart has that reason, and he was in third place here. So he was right there in the mix and got into winners finals, got sent to losers finals by Takamura, and then eventually lost to Momi in the I think it was, he might not have gotten to winner finals, but in any case, he was in losers finals for sure. He was in losers finals, so there you go. But yeah, again, look at this. Akuma, Momi even busted out a Nash. It was Cammy and Nash. Ryan Hart used Urian and Sagat. Escudo played Alex. Akram played Colleen, Lucia, Jury. Jimmy played Ryu. Hiroko played Ibuki and Poison. And Fasa played Urian. Urian is the only repeat character in that top 8 of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 characters. 12 characters were used by the top 8 finishers, and only one of them was repeated between players. Again, it's just awesome to see. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, Street Fighter V is a very well balanced fighting game, I think.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say like who is bottom 5 in that game, I think.
Yep.
Like I think everybody's conversation would be different. Everybody would have a different feeling on that. So yeah, it's a very, very well balanced game.
We don't have all
Not
the
surprised to see all those characters.
we don't have all the intel information, do we? Like who's qualified for that so far?
No,
right?
no, I didn't think about it, to be honest.
Okay.
It's out there, but it's not easy to even find.
Right.
So.
But Middle East also happened for CPT, and probably no surprise to a lot of people, but Grand Finals was Angry Bird and Big Bird. Big Bird busting out the Ken and losing on a bad rollback, it sounds like, according to what Big Bird actually said. But the thing about it was, though, just like, you know, the Brazil CPT, I thought it was awesome to see because we got players like GTR who, you know, Angry Bird and Big Bird said they play with all the time. Most of us don't know who GTR is. Most of us don't know who Volcano Rosso is, and Benny Best and Mature and all these guys. And the cool thing about it was, you know, just like Brazil, when you listen to all their quotes, they were just like, man, I'm just so happy to be here. Like, I'm excited. Whoever wins, this is great and everything, you know. And it's awesome to see. And again, you know, shout outs to Capcom. They're doing a lot of things right these days. And one of the things they're doing right is spreading these regions out a little bit more. And again, it's not perfect. There's no Northern Africa, for example. There's no Central Africa. But, you know, for the most part, you know, having the Middle East be its own region so Logan and F-Word can't claim Big Bird and Angry Bird anymore. You know, it's really, really cool to see this kind of stuff. And so, you know, and same thing here again, like I'm naming the characters here again: Seth, Zeku, Rashid, Ken, Kage, Gil, Ryu, Sagat, Guile, Poison, Ryu, first repeat, Jury, Ryu, G, Abigail, and Ken. So Ken and Ryu are the only repeated characters in that list, in that top 8 again. We just mentioned on the previous one on the EU West that Urian was the only repeated character out of like 12 characters. And here we see the situation was at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 characters here, and only 2 characters repeated here. So again, it's really awesome that you can play anybody, it feels like, in this game and have a legit chance of taking a tournament now. And that's really important, I think.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
How are you feeling, David?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Hey, you're not hiccuping anymore. You look great. Well done.
Yes. LEVO, which is Leffen's tournament series that he runs, he's been really into Guilty Gear Strive. And so right away he ran LEVO this past weekend and did it for Guilty Gear Strive. And what's cool about this is a lot of the strong players showed up for this, right? I mean, we had Sonic Fox, Tempest, Super Noon, Punk, Reynold, Tokido, Cloud 805, Diaphone. No, it's not actually Tokido. It was. Are
you sure it's Tokido or is
Hanzo
that Carter
Gonzo? Hanzo Gonzo is signed up for Guilty Gear as Tokido 7777. So a lot of people think Tokido has been playing, but it's actually just Hanzo Gonzo in there. But Jan was there. He was playing as well. A lot of strong players in this tournament. And it was really, really neat to see this high level play. You know, to see what Strive looks like at the highest level of play. And shout outs to all the guys who entered it. And was taken by Sonic Fox. What a shock, you know? Like, you know.
Barely. Just
it was close,
barely.
Barely. But, you know, second place was Tempest NYC, who has been dominating GBVS recently. So shout outs to Tempest there. And yeah, losing to getting flash kicked on a Totsugeki, I mean, that's like 2 in a row. Like Sonic had to do that twice in a row to win, otherwise he would have been chipped. And so
You're like, if you watch that tournament finals and you still don't want to play Guilty Gear, you probably just don't like fighting games.
Yeah.
Like
Really
that,
nice.
like the top 4, like I'd say, matches were just all incredible.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Rick is here too to check out the new layout and stuff. I'll have to show him some more of the stuff later. But yeah, it was
really close.
It was cool. It was exciting. I was really glad to see how the game looked and how it flowed. Obviously, you know, I was glad right away when the game came out. I figured out how the lobbies worked, and I put out a little like a tweet thread. I saw Leffen doing a lot of the stuff that I had recommended. I was glad to see. So, you know, but they need to fix that lobby shit like now because it's not good. It's not good.
So another game where Sonic Fox is the best player in the world is what you're telling me, huh? Just so another
far,
day.
So far. I mean, look at this. Sonic Fox is in first. Now Tempest, although not necessarily a old school Guilty Gear head, but a big Arxis player. Super Noon, a big Dragon Ball player. Punk, Street Fighter player. You know, then Reynold is in tied for 5th place with Bladeless. Hanzo Gonzo got 7th place.
I mean, Reynolds, if people aren't as familiar anymore, KOF player, top Dragon Ball player as well.
Evo champion KOF player, right?
Yeah.
Hanzo Gonzo getting 7th place with his Giovanna.
Hanzo Gonzo's good at video games.
He's amazing.
You don't see it very often because that's just like not what he's typically trying to show you, but he is actually really good at video games.
He's a pretty good fighting game player. But also, before we go deep into, where are all the Guilty Gear players in this? Why are they not in top 8? If you look at like the full brackets, there actually weren't that many big name Guilty Gear vets. The one that I can think of, I think Jan was in there, but also Bozak, Elven Shadow entered, but he got DQ'd because Bozak entered like 6 tournaments that day. And I was actually commentating one of them, and it didn't get a grand finals because Bozak had to do the Arxis stuff.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So he was extremely overloaded. So my first initial reaction too was, holy shit, there's no Guilty Gear players here. Like, is this the new renaissance of Guilty Gear? Are all the same old top players is going to be the best at this, and the Guilty Gear players go to the wayside? But then I looked at the bracket, and they just didn't enter this. They were entering other stuff or busy with Arxis, et cetera. So
I guess
I wouldn't take it like, I would take the results with a grain of salt. Not to say that the level of play was low. Level of play was incredible.
No,
but
my point was that it might be the game to unite everybody again, like Dragon Ball was at first. Because Dragon Ball was that at first. Remember, everybody was playing this. And, this is a game that we could see Sonic Fox and Goichi go at it again. You know what I mean? We could have another rivalry between them.
They've already been playing. They've already been playing each other online.
God, see, look how...
They've already been playing.
How awesome is that? They can play online and it feels great. Somebody in the chat said earlier they played Sajam and they were in Germany and it felt great,
Wow.
It's crazy. And again, we've heard that all the time, the game that unites everybody, and it never happens.
Not that many times, honestly. Well,
yeah, I've heard it for Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball?
Yeah, that's
what
true.
else?
I've only heard Dragon Ball call that, and it was that for a long time. And if you look at the scene that still plays it, a lot of those players did come from different games.
Yeah.
So.
And but this right now, this feels like a different thing. Like this is I'm hopeful for this. And again, as I've said on Twitter, I know I'm super biased with Guilty Gear. The way that I talk about Guilty Gear is always going to be a little more effusively praising than normal. But it feels like something special is happening here. And if it is, the most important thing to take away from it is every other company better get their shit together and put in some good ass rollback netcode, because that is obviously the most important thing, honestly. So.
All right.
Coach Steve was in this as well.
Coach Steve was in there, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Who represents like 5 different games, and
Yeah, exactly.
he's always
a Marvel player at heart. He's a Marvel player.
Okay, I'm gonna claim him for MK these days. Topanga's happening. The Topanga Championships are happening in Japan again. As per usual, there's quite a bit of money. The winner gets 2.5 million yen, which is like $22,000 or $23,000 or something. Yeah. And the first through 8th I'll get paid, so there's always a bunch of money for this. Right now it's in the group stages. Block A, I'll just tell you who's in it. It's Higuchi. This is in order of who's currently winning to losing. Higuchi, Pugera, Mago, Fujimura, Yoshikibi, YHC Mochi, Moke, and Nauman.
Yeah.
And then
of note of that, I've been seeing a lot of the highlights and stuff that people have been talking about. Higuchi is starting to achieve some level of, like, this is a problem. Like, this guy is going to be a problem. He's young 9 and him and Pugera are 9-1 right now. And from a lot of the stuff that I've seen from like High Fight clips that he's been putting up, Higuchi is starting to become a real problem.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome, actually. Mm-hmm. And then Block B has Gachikun. Again, this is in order from top to bottom. Gachikun, Mizuha, Sako, Dogura, Bonchan, Daigo, Machabo, and Momochi. That's a really incredible Set a name.
Good luck.
Right there.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Block C and D haven't played yet, but they have in Block C Itabashi Zangief, Fudo, Kawano, Ryusei, Tokido, Zebeth, Nishikin, Kichipamu, and then...
That's gross.
Yeah, it's just C. Yeah.
That's gross.
Anyway, there you go. Well, that's always that way in
Yeah,
the
I know.
Topanga
Yeah,
Championship.
that's
It's
how it
always
is, dude.
incredible. So check that out if you can.
All right.
Streaming is done at Mildom if you're curious. Okay.
All right, let's hit this
That's it.
mailbag.
Hey,
Move on to the mailbag. Yeah.
surprises aren't done yet here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the mailbag, ladies and gentlemen, over here. We have the Ultra Chen mailbag here, and we're going to start with the first question here. What's our first question? Oh, look at this. Wasik via Twitter has asked, what were the best and worst parts of doing the show without David?
First of all, this is incredible. Why did you put it back on our ugly mugs? You should keep it on that.
That was so dope. I'm very impressed. That was very cool.
That was amazing.
Good surprise.
Shout outs to Irene, of course, Wave, for the artwork here.
Wave Chan. Thank you, Irene.
Yes, Wave Chan is always the best, and so there you go. There we go.
I have
So-
her art hanging on my wall in that corner. Nobody can see it. But, yeah, that's awesome. Now I'm in her art. That's amazing.
There
So
you go.
The worst and the best parts of No David. Worst part was David does like all the show planning, so James and I were lost there. The best part is I didn't have to hear anything about Street Fighter V. I didn't want to. It was fantastic.
What?
I'm fully back on the hate Street Fighter V.
You love
game.
Street Fighter V? Oh, don't tell me
That game is in the trash can. I uninstalled it. It's done. I'll never play that game again. It's over. Never.
This sounds like a conversation that I had with my friend Tubaware in about 2013, maybe, where I was like, "Hey, I just sold Marvel 3. I'm never gonna play that game again. I'm never gonna watch that game again." And next thing you know, it's one of my favorite games of all time. So heads up for that, Tubaware.
I mean, for me, honestly, it's, I've been doing Tuesday show with David for 10 years now. So, we've been doing commentary together for 10 years. There's just a natural flow that I have with David. And so it's always like weird not having him on the show, not saying anything about Tubo. I mean, not that I have any problem, because we did our own podcast as well, but it's just, David that's just, it's,
He missed you, David.
yeah.
That's very cute. That's very cute.
Yeah. Best part about it is I mean, we didn't have to deal with the hiccuping and everything like that. So,
It's true, yeah.
I like the very slight fuzz on the bottom of my jaw. I'm just realizing on this art.
Yeah,
That's
I have it on the mustache as well. So
Oh,
I
that's
think
true.
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
funny. And she drew me with my cats, and I told her that you guys are gonna be mad because you don't have your cats on there. But
That's too many cats, though. I think 2 cats is plenty.
Yeah, we don't need 5 cats. It's okay.
Oh man. So
They're
next
very
question.
cute, though. All right, move on to the next one.
So the next question is, ATP asks via Twitter, favorite alcoholic drink to have after spending a full day in the blazing hot sun?
For me, it's definitely a Guinness.
Okay, interesting.
Guinness.
I like stouts. I think stouts are super refreshing. Guinness
Especially
is my
that one.
favorite. Yeah,
'Cause it's
Guinness is
very
my
watery.
favorite, for sure. I mean, it's like milk, kind of, but I also am like, I'll drink a nice cold glass of milk on a hot summery blistery day too. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I like Guinness. Guinness is good.
Okay.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer. Yeah, I would probably say. I don't know that I could pick one in particular, but yeah, maybe just like a lager or something. Maybe a pilsner is maybe what I would go for.
Where do
in
you
that
know?
kind of
You would definitely you want the banquet beer, David.
That is, I really like it, to be honest.
I know you do. It's disgusting. I don't know how. It's incredible.
And then I think maybe other than that, I would say what's nice and cold and has maybe like a Moscow Mule or something.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, for me, it would probably be a Pepsi. I don't drink alcohol, so I can't really say. And again, it's not anything that I refuse to. I do drink alcohol, but I can't drink beer to save my life. Like, that just not gonna happen. So
I don't feel that a margarita is a great like it's hot, I need to be refreshed kind of drink. I like margaritas. Tequila's one of my favorite kinds of alcohol. But I feel like that's more like I'm like sipping and hanging out rather than like it's really cold and I've been working all day.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hate tequila. I wish the agave plant would go extinct already.
Oh, dang!
Like, I hate. Like, the smell of tequila makes me gag.
interesting.
It's rough.
Okay.
I guess my second answer would be, now that I'm thinking about it, Leinenkugel Sunset Wheat is a delicious summer beer.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Tastes like
makes
Fruit
sense.
Loops, man. If you don't like that, it is,
Sure. Okay.
there's no way you'll ever like beer.
All right. The next question from Bonjay via Discord is, given advance warning, how would you try to survive Kazuya Mishima throwing you off a cliff into lava?
I would absorb Kirby's power. Because in that case, even if I got thrown off the cliff, all I'd have to do is puff my way back up to the top and just get out of there. No big deal.
How did you absorb Kirby's power?
I would do the exact.
All right, here's what happens.
Look,
here's what happened.
I'm gonna do the opposite of David. I'm gonna have Kirby waiting at the bottom to absorb me, and then float back up to the top, and then spit me back to safety. That's the key right there.
Do you think he has saliva in there? I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
You
No.
think it's just a dry, cavernous area?
I think it's just another dimension. That's all.
All right. Yeah, who knows what's going on in there? I would just die. I mean, there's no. I'm just dead.
is
That's it. Yeah, I'm just dead. That's it. I lost the battle. I deserve it.
I mean, someone had
an honorable death.
Someone put up a great picture. Planting the trampoline guys from Game & Watch at the bottom of that to save themselves. So I think that was
Yes.
too.
Genius.
Oh man. All right.
What do we got?
All right. So the next question here, and I definitely copy pasted too much stuff here.
He threw Kid Icarus into the lava somehow. I didn't notice that. Yeah, he can actually just fly back up.
I mean, yeah, but if he's knocked out, it's GG's.
Okay. All right.
Can't
Plus,
fly
another
if you're
thing too is
KO'd.
that Kid Icarus needed the 3 sacred weapons in order to fly, or he needed to have the feather when he fell down. So maybe he couldn't afford the feather because he didn't get the credit card yet to buy it from the merchant who charges way too much for his stuff. So, anyways, next question is going to be from Fat Cat via Twitter. What instrument comes to mind when someone says Unga Bunga? And do you think your main character in any fighting game would play that instrument?
It's definitely a drum, and absolutely every character I've ever played would rock out on the drums. 100%.
What kind of drum are you picturing? What are you talking about? Drum set? What do you got?
No, I'm talking about like a old like hollowed out wooden log with some deer skin draped over it, held by some string, probably also made out of deer skin, and they're just wailing on this drum, just unga bunga.
Yeah.
Every character I play is that for the most part.
That's true. Yeah, you do play a bunch of idiots.
Yep.
As previously established, I'm gonna go with a tuba. What? Don't laugh at me. That's totally reasonable response.
No, because you can also make
funny.
fart noises with it too. So it's perfect.
What? Can you make? This is
You
amazing.
definitely can make fart noises.
I guess that makes sense. I just think in my mind, like, what sounds like unga? What instrument makes a sound that sounds like unga bunga? Like that to me, it sounds like a tuba. Like like a big, very deep instrument.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's clearly so far we have a band consisting of a drum and a tuba. What do you got?
I mean, for me, I was gonna say drums as well because you're just banging on those buttons. You're just button mashing, right? Just all day. So yeah, probably drums as well. And I'm just trying to figure out like what character would represent that. What are you doing, Kitty? Kitty.
Oh yeah, would my characters play the tuba?
Yeah, would your characters play the tuba?
Would my characters play the tuba? So I think that's too complicated for E Honda. I think of if E Honda is a musical person at all, if he plays any instruments at all, it's something easy. Maybe he knows how to play the harmonica, because it's as somebody who used to play the harmonica, it's really easy.
I think he would be the sickest guitar player ever. Can you imagine with the 100 hand slap? He'd be able to play like Miserloo just fine, right?
He has the physicality part of it. The mental part of it, learning all that, I just am not sure that's something he's capable of.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then Baraka would not play the tuba. He would play the bones or something. He'd play a xylophone.
He can't play the tuba. He wouldn't have the lips to be able to blow on the tuba, right?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't even work. It just wouldn't even work.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Mega Fist is kind of like playing the drums, right? Mega Fist, Mega Fist. So I guess that would kind of work. So
Would General Rom play the tuba? Maybe, because he's a big guy. He could definitely.
But he also doesn't have lips.
He doesn't have lips?
No.
I don't know what his face looks like.
He looks like Baraka, kind of like the no lip joints.
This is
just
a true
like the
story.
reptilian face. Yeah,
I have no idea what his face looks like. All right, let me see what it is.
I know. I kind of want to look it up too.
General Rom, specifically in Killer Instinct, please. Oh yeah, he's got a kind of weird lizard monster face. Look at that. Oh yeah, he does kind of have a Baraka situation going on. How did you know that?
I'm a big Gears of War fan.
Well, there you go. That makes sense.
I put so many hours into seeing this character's face on the character select screen, and then like as it's loading in, and he kind of like does the spin, and then you see his face. Never paid attention to it.
I mean, he's ugly.
He is ugly for sure. All right.
On to the next one.
Next one.
And I think
last one.
Yeah, this is the last question here. Let's go back to this. So the last question is Augusto Guhak, didn't have any information on where the question came from, asks, what's your favorite martial arts / fighting style, and which fictional character best represents it?
Interesting.
Well, my favorite like movie style that would never work in a real fight is definitely drunken boxing. And Jackie Chan obviously has the best drunken boxing movie, so that's done. My actual favorite form of fighting is Muay Thai.
Really?
Muay Thai is so sick. It is such a sick martial art. I wish there was more grounded stuff to it, because if you get into a fight, you're probably going to go to the ground in real life at some point.
Right.
But as far as stand-up combat, it's amazing. It's so intriguing.
Well,
yeah.
What character?
And who represents it? Well, man, who represents Muay Thai well? There's obviously a lot of great Thai fighters, right? There's Sagat, there's Adon, there's Wajai.
There's Darth Vader.
There's Bruce. I think Bruce probably represents the most realistic version of Muay Thai.
Like I said, there's Darth Vader too, right?
Darth Vader did Muay Thai?
No, because you said, he's an excellent Thai fighter.
Nice one. That's a good one.
That was good. That was solid.
Okay.
I respect it.
All right.
Okay. All right.
My answer is capoeira. I used to do capoeira as a kid in college, and Unfortunately, then my joints all fell apart. I may have talked about that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do that martial art, if you like don't have shoulders or whatever.
Sure.
Like you can't do a lot of the things. So I gave it up, but I really wish that I didn't need to, because it was so fun to do. It's so expressive, and the kind of dance and game aspect of it are super fun.
Sure.
And the community that I was doing it in college and then in law school were super nice people. I really liked it. Just anyway, body didn't like it, so I gave it up.
You both like
But-
the kicky ones, huh? I mean,
I mean, it definitely is kicky, but it's more. There's more to it. I think some of the stuff that you see in media is maybe a little bit over exaggerated. But I do know that the master at the I don't remember what it was called now. Not a dojo for capoeira. I honestly, this is 15 years ago now. I don't
Capoeira master.
Yeah, but yeah, the master who taught the people who then taught me. I didn't take lessons directly with him because I wasn't fancy enough. Anyway, he's the guy who did mocap for the original Eddie Gordo.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
Yeah, so
cool.
that
That's really dope.
was cool. So which character best represents that style? It's got to be Eddie.
Gotta
'cause
be Eddie,
it's
yeah.
I mean, what's interesting is that they added stuff to it. Like Eddie has some things that are just like breakdancing moves that aren't actually like in a martial art, but he did do a lot of it. He did do a lot of the mocap for that. It's pretty cool.
Gosh, do I have a favorite martial art? I mean, growing up, I obviously watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies and such. I mean, that's just natural. That's a really interesting question. I don't know if I have a favorite martial art, to be honest with you. Never really thought about that. But I mean, obviously, if I said Bruce Lee, then there's like 700 characters I could choose from, right? Because every fighting game has a Bruce Lee. So, I mean, maybe Fei Long, because like Fei Long is the most like he is just Bruce Lee. Like he's not even like I'm a character who looks like myself, but I sound like and act like Bruce. No, like Fei Long is just Bruce Lee. Like they didn't even try. So
That's true. I agree. Fei Long is the most Bruce Lee. I mean,
That makes sense.
Marshall and Forest Law, not really.
Yeah.
They just kind of look like him.
Yeah, they have like stories otherwise. Like Fei Long is just like I'm a Hong Kong movie star.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Krav Maga is dope. I learned Krav Maga for a little bit at my synagogue.
Krav Maga is
and
dope.
let me tell you about the like 3 days that I spent learning Krav Maga. Day 1 was how to gouge an eye out. I'm like in my synagogue, like learning how to gouge people's eyes out. And then day 2 was like, how do you disembowel somebody with a knife? Like it was, I don't remember what day 3 was. After that, I was just like, this is not fun. I don't need to learn how to murder people. I'm not going to be in a situation where I will need to murder somebody. So, okay.
That's a survivor of scare tactics. You never know when you're going to be in that situation, David.
you know.
Like it was not like a martial art in the sense of other martial arts. It's a martial art in the sense of like it's truly for war. Like it's not like like capoeira. I was saying I love the dance and game side of it. It's really fun. Like it's very expressive. Krav Maga is just like straight to the point. I'm gonna murder you. Here's the fastest way to do it. It's worth learning, obviously, if you're like in the military, but otherwise, no, thank you.
Right.
For sure.
Okay.
Well, we did it. That's the show. Woo!
And I hope people enjoy.
Man, those transitions were super cool, James. Thanks for putting that together.
Yeah, shout outs to all the people who had helped me out with this and everything like that. So, oops, that's not what I wanted to highlight. I want to highlight that.
Yeah, it's
There we
actually actual martial pursuits. Yeah.
go. So,
Anyway, I know how to gouge an eye out. So let me, if you ever need any help with that, just
Don't
hit me
gouge
up.
my eyes.
Hit up your boy.
oh man. Well, there
James,
we go.
everything that you did to improve the graphics was awesome. Nice work, and thank you.
Shout outs to all the people who helped me. It was a UIU Shen who helped me do the transition graphic, and Irene who did the drawings of us, and then everything else I just like put together for like the past 2 months, dude. Just like been working on this little by little and doing everything. Shout outs to the Hado for the initial treatments and stuff like that as well. So, but there you go. That's what
Yay,
it
thank
is.
you. All right, cool. Well, good to see you guys. Let's play Strive. Hey, like I said, I have it on both PS and PC now, so
Yeah,
I can
same.
I can play the video games.
Nice. And you're not traveling for the 700th time again, so you can play video games.
Correct. Man, when I was in Vegas walking around, let me tell you this, like, I walked around with a mask, right? And I'm vaccinated, I'm with a mask. I would say 1% masking rate in Las Vegas. And maybe
Really?
that's too high.
No
Like,
way.
honestly.
Sounds all right, man.
Honestly, 1%. Yep.
Oh.
And what's wild is that I bet the percentage of people who were masked, who were vaccinated, was higher than the percentage of people who were not masked of vaccinated people. Like, I'm sure a ton of the people who did not have masks on were lying about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
Of course they will.
like, was anybody in the entire city of Las Vegas there who didn't have the vaccine and also took it seriously enough to mask? Like, is there anybody in that category who both doesn't take it seriously enough to not have had the vaccine already and also takes it seriously enough to pay attention to the masking rules? Does that exist?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't think it does.
I don't think it does either. But anyway, I mean, we're vaccinated and feeling fine.
Right.
But there you go.
Anyway.
Good luck, everybody. Okay. Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Can you guys hear the birds?
I can't, but hopefully they can.
Hear
Yep.
the bird. Why can't you guys hear the birds? I am obviously doing something wrong. I'll figure it out for next week, and I'll get you.
Well,
guys
I
to
hear
the
it
bird.
now. I don't know what you just did, but I hear it now.
No, you hear it when James talks.
Oh. Okay,
Oh, that's right. Okay, it's doing that thing. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.